Welcome back to the Top 6 show, and Premier League football is back. I don't know about you tuning in. I don't know about the panel just yet, but how exciting is this? It returns tomorrow night. Manchester United versus Fulham is the opening game. You're going to be getting all of our predictions tonight for top 4, Champions League winners, cup winners, underperformers, and much, much more. We've got transfer news to bring you as well. We've got an action-packed panel too. We've got man like Giuseppe in the house. Kate is here back in the Tottenham. We've also got Henry, her twin sister, here backing them as well. Tom's in the house, showing his face after getting rejected by Zubi. Oh. David's here with us with a better microphone tonight after taking off them silly earphones. And Egal, it's been a while, but back again on the football terrace. Viewers, hit like buttons if you haven't done so already. Make sure you are subscribing as well. And if you haven't done it yet, join the transfer notification group chat. There is no negotiations that go on in there. I can assure you of that. How is everyone, though? You all well? You all good?
Yeah, good, man. Can't wait for the Premier League season
to start, man.
Absolutely, and we will get onto that a little bit later. Transfer news to begin with. Talks are Man United and Chelsea could be about to offer Brentford a loan with an obligation to buy for Ivan Toney. Henry, how good would that be for either Chelsea or Man United season ahead?
I think for Chelsea, I think what they do need a number 9, whether that's going to be Osimhen, whether that's going to be Toney is yet to be seen. Man United, obviously, they haven't got Højlund for another 7 weeks or so. We've got Joshua Zirkzee there. If I'm being brutally honest, I think obviously he'd probably be better suited going to Chelsea, but I just think Chelsea will probably get Osimhen, or they'll do their absolute most to get him over the line towards the end of the window. Lukaku wants to reignite with Conte at Napoli. But look, it's a great signing. He's Premier League proven. He will score lots of goals in both sides. Both sides create lots of chances. Chelsea with Neto, Palmer, and Toney would be a fantastic front three, and Kunku in just behind. Man United, you got Bruno, you got Garnacho, you got Diallo, Rashford. I think he suits both teams in both systems, but I probably think he's more likely to join Chelsea personally because Man United have already got 2 strikers. Did you say it was a loan with an obligation to buy?
Yes, that is what the reports are saying, that it will be a loan with an obligation to buy.
Yeah, then it makes a lot of sense for Chelsea. I think that's probably where, if he's going to leave Brentford, that's where he'll end up.
I mean, Xerxes called himself a 9.5, so there's still room for another 9, and then just a little 9.5 in there. I just look at if you're Chelsea
Hang
right
on.
now.
You ain't sitting there making those digs when you whoppers at Liverpool used to call Firmino the defensive striker.
Yeah.
Come on now when it comes to weird things footballers say or
Hey,
Roberto
Firmino scored 11 goals in one Champions League campaign, so I can.
But you called him the defensive striker. He's a defensive striker. That's not weird names. Anyway, crack on, Tom.
Yeah, we called Firmino that. He didn't call himself that.
He did. But anyway, carry on.
If you're Chelsea and you've got the option of Toney or Osimhen, I think you go for Osimhen, younger. He's got more relevant experience for what Chelsea want to do. Ultimately, he's a player who's fully into that project by all intents and purposes, with what the media say, with John Obi Mikel and Drogba talking to him, and you've got the chance there to get rid of Lukaku in the same way. It's going to cost more than what it'll cost for Toney, but you pay the price for quality. I think United, the issue is they've got strikers, but I do think that having the Premier League experience of Toney, I don't think he'll ever hit 20 goals again in a season. But if he can give you double figures, I think United could really benefit from that. I think United's the better move for him, and I think for Chelsea,
he'll get 20 goals again.
I don't think so. No,
not in that Chelsea side. The amount of chances they create.
No, I think he get close, but only
on penalties he'll get 7 or 8 at least.
He's not on penalties, mate.
He wouldn't be taking pens, would he?
Well, okay, if he goes Man United, he'll probably be on penalties.
Over
You
Bruno, get out, get out.
You think Bruno Fernandes has
Get
given up
out!
penalties?
The guy's one of the best penalty takers in the world.
Henry,
So Bruno.
what you've got
He
to
ain't Cole
understand
Palmer,
Better
he
is
ain't
penalty taker
that
than Bruno by far.
at these top clubs, Egal
Tom's
takes pens.
Henry's having a mare, mate. Henry is having a mare.
He doesn't even look at the ball when he just knows it's
Henry,
in the back
just
of the net.
just stick to going. Oh my God, please.
Egos take pens at these top clubs. So Cole Palmer's not giving up pens, and Bruno Fernandes isn't giving up pens. So Toney's then loses them goals. I just think it makes more sense for him to go to United and for Chelsea to do everything they can to get that Osimhen deal over the line. Because for Chelsea, I can't. Who's the other player that they potentially giving away? That Italian midfielder, Casadei. Yeah, if you can get him and Lukaku out and get Osimhen in and put like 50 million up front at the same time, I think that's a real smart piece of business. So I don't see why. I don't see why Toney's really being considered for Chelsea at this point.
I think. Do you know what the thing is with Chelsea? You say that he's better suited for Osimhen's better suited for Chelsea. That's probably right, but there's more risk in that. Can Chelsea take much more? Can Chelsea take risks? I think Man United can take a risk more than Chelsea. Obviously, if you get Osimhen, the fans are all going to be happy with that, and he'll probably do well. But I think with what they need right now, I feel like Toney would not be a bad shout for them at all. Obviously, if you ask every fan from Chelsea, I think like every fan, David Canato is going to say Osimhen over Toney. But they kind of need maybe a bit of experience and a bit of Premier League experience in that team this season, like to maybe get them to maybe a Champions League spot or to battle for the Champions League spot.
This is my point with it, though. Everyone says Toney brings the experience. And I'll always say, is it relevant experience? Toney's experience that he brings is mid-table in the Premier League. He doesn't have the experience of getting a team to Europe, and neither does Osimhen. But Osimhen's got experience of winning titles in another league, getting Champions League in another league. Which are you going to back more so to translate? Is it going to be another league to the Premier League, or moving from a smaller club where you're the big fish to a bigger club where you're now a smaller fish?
With certain players, I agree. With Toney and the way he has his arrogance, I don't think that going to a bigger club will really phase him. I think his arrogance, which is not a bad thing, by the way, but his arrogance as in his ability he'll believe that that's his level. He done well for England as well on a big stage. I hear what you're saying, and once again, Osimhen could probably come in. Osimhen's ceiling for them is higher, much higher. But I think if you're getting them both in, you know that the floor of Toney is decent enough to get you at least 20 goals in the league, maybe a bit under without penalties.
I don't think it is, but that's me personally.
That's the thing.
I wouldn't say that's Toney's floor either. I think Toney's floor is about 7-8
Toney's
goals.
floor is I'm going to take the 9 at Chelsea and look like every 9 that's been at Chelsea. That's what Toney's floor is, because whoever puts on that shirt can't score a goal for their life, right? Osimhen, I'm still, you know what the thing is? I don't think he's as good as everyone says he is, but my options are Osimhen Osimhen, get rid of Lukaku and get rid of Casadei. I really like Casadei, but if he's got to go, he's got to go. Or I take Toney. And to be honest, Toney is someone who will be at this club for a season and a half, and in 18 months, everyone will look and be like, why is he here? He needs to go. Because the squad, hopefully, by then would have progressed past him. So do I want to spend 40? Well, I'm not sure how a loan with obligation is going to buy. He's got 1 year in his contract. But anyway, I'm not someone who deals with that. But it's like 40 mil.
That's a great point. To be fair. I'm only reading the news report. But maybe he's we've seen this a lot in the last few years. Maybe he's got one of those contracts that Brentford could extend by a year. We don't know about. I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, a loan with an obligation of 30 mil. I'm not a big fan of it, but it is what it is.
Are you asking Terry where they're going to end up, or who's the better signing?
Well, I mean, a bit of both, really. I think we can expand the conversation. So for me, like I look at it, and I'll throw it back out to you and Kate, but I think he'd be great for both teams. I hope Man United do go and sign him. I think, look, the more the merrier. Yes, we've got Rasmus. Yes, we've got Xerxes. Xerxes can play a couple of roles. So can Toney. I think there's a world where they can both be involved. And fuck it, create survival of the fittest. You know, remember that scene, the Joker in The Dark Knight, where he breaks the pool cue and says we're recruiting. He says, but we've only got one spot. Fight it. I'm not suggesting Ten Hag should have them kill each other with a pool cue, but metaphorically speaking, metaphorically, that is what we should be doing. And saying, right, boys, there's essentially one starting spot. There's three of you. There's one person that's going to come on in. And you've got to remember as well, there's 5 subs available per game in this day and age of football. And I think that plays a part when it comes to selling the idea to listen, I'd love him at Man United. I really, really would. I don't know whether it will happen. But I'd love him. I'd love him in.
Didn't you promise Cheeto Obi Martin the third striker position?
Well, according to Fabrizio, we did. But again, I don't care about that because if he's really that good, he's going to fight his way into the first team. This nonsense that you can't sign people because it blocks pathways. That is what weak people say. When in my career, my professional career, when I worked in banking and in sales, I didn't care if they employed new people with a great CV. I'd work harder to be better or as good. Anyone that goes, oh no, how am I going to get my sales targets? You need to sack that person instantly. They are bad for your business. They've got to go.
Let me say this though. Chelsea are going to get
Stinker and hooked at the door.
Chelsea are going to get Victor Osimhen simply because Napoli want Lukaku, and apparently they even want Kepa now. Apparently, I'm not sure if I remember correctly.
Kepa as well.
So you could have a situation where Chelsea could get like some sort of ridiculous swap deal, like an NBA trade type thing, where they sign multiple players. But Ivan Toney is now being slept on because of the situation where he had the gambling situation where he got banned for like almost a year. That has left a stain on him that has made a lot of teams stay away from him, in my opinion. It's not his footballing ability. It's not his ability to play with other people. But right now, I don't think he's going to any of our clubs is beneficial for him. I think if he went to West Ham, that would be the perfect place for him. Somewhere where they don't necessarily have the best forward striker position at the striker position, and he walks in and he's one of the main men right away. Where if he goes to Chelsea, he's never going to be the main man. He's never going to have the clout to be the main man. He goes to Man United right now. He can't step to Rashford or Bruno and tell them I'm the guy taking the penalties. I'm the main man. Where if he goes to West Ham, I think that'd be better for him. Even
West Ham rejected.
I think West Ham just signed that striker though from.
Yeah, they got foolproof. Yeah.
I have invested in him today, 31. By the way, on Stocks FC. On Osimhen, I'm going to go to David because he's a Chelsea fan. But Kate,
I forgot about
if Chelsea pull this off, the reports today suggest that Napoli want to do a swap deal. If Chelsea pull this off, do you think this will have a dramatic effect on the outcome of Chelsea's season?
100%.
It will, but
bloody hell, Kate threw her voice and sounded Canadian then.
It will, but I'm not convinced Osimhen's going to do anything in the Premier League. I think he's really overhyped myself. I don't think Toney will end up at Man United or Chelsea either. I think he'll stay at Brentford and then I think he'll go abroad. I don't think he'll play in this country. That's my personal opinion. But yeah, I mean, Osimhen is just going to be one of the 6,227 players that Chelsea have got in their squad. So, will he make a difference? Time will tell. I think Chelsea's such a shambles at the minute. I'm not sure anyone can make any difference.
So are you saying Osimhen's going to flop at Chelsea?
That's not true.
I do, yeah. All strikers flop at Chelsea.
Come on, man. Come on.
All right.
Everyone, you're telling me no matter who we signed, my team's done. Like, we can't do anything.
I remember how excited you were when you signed Havertz. You were the one guy on stream telling all the Chelsea fans.
I love Havertz. I know him. And he scored a Champions League winning goal. I love the guy. I never got hate on Havertz. That's my guy.
I don't want to get. Yeah. I don't want to get too far off of the subject we were just talking about. But based on what Kate said, if you sign Osimhen, David, do you think he'll flop at Chelsea?
He has potential to. I can't lie. There's something, when you watch a player's highlights and you go, your highlights, you even look clunky. He don't look like competent with the ball at his feet. And I've got beef with Serie A forwards because any league when Lukaku is your top dribbler is not it's not serious, bro. It ain't serious. That man topped it and everyone was like, he's different, he's changed, look at him. And I was there going, no, he's not. He's the same bloke.
Sorry, I was giving
but also-
Lukaku confidence to pull out Trevellas
Are
and
you
stuff.
saying you could be transferring Lukaku to Napoli and getting a younger version of Lukaku?
let me we might do, but I think it's worth it because we've got to get rid of that Lukaku. He's just got to go. I don't care how he goes, but he's got to get out of the club. I'd rather. Am I 100% on Osimhen? Like, yes, he's gonna bang. No, I'm not. But he's got more chance of banging than Lukaku does anywhere because that brother is wash. I don't care what system, what team you put him in. He is a dead baller. But Osimhen, he could be really good, and he does have traits that suit the Prem. He's just a little bit like he trips over the ball sometimes. You get me? He's a bit Jackson-y in that way, where he loses the ball, but he's a goal scorer. And if he can get me 15 to 20 goals, and he can, not miss the easy ones, I'm cool with it.
He's a fox in the box. That's his game.
I'm cool with it.
That's his game. When you've got Cole Palmer on the right, and Neto, no driven cross. That's his game.
He's tall. We need tall people. Set pieces. Get him on them.
It would be Chelsea would have a really interesting front four for the 4 games to collectively fit. Like it'd be a really exciting front four of Neto and Kunku, Palmer and Osimhen for the 4 games that they're fit. Like you could tear teams apart with that, and then Neto will go down with an injury, and by the time he's back, and Kunku's down with an injury, and then by the time he's back, Osimhen's done, and then Neto's gotten injured again in that time. I like Osimhen, and he's got so much quality about him in terms of finishing, which is kind of what I think Chelsea need. Chelsea don't need the striker who is this complete forward who's going to drop in and create for them because they haven't exactly got the wingers who are going to get 20 goals. Yeah, but Jackson, yeah.
Jackson, Jackson, if he can put it together, is class. He's class.
And Nunes, if he had a brain, would be the best striker in the league. What are we doing here? It's not going to happen.
I think Chelsea are going to massively need to depend on their attack to keep them in games next season because they're going to concede a lot of goals. Their defense is really poor. So they get Victor Osimhen, he's going to help them do that. But the question is, are they going to have enough creativity from the midfield? Because they have so many good attackers now, is it going to be a situation where all this time they're waiting for all these attackers, but their midfield has diminished in quality to a point where I'm looking at that midfield, I'm saying, is it as good to create the chances needed for these players?
It depends on the setup.
Are they just going to throw it to Palmer and thing to figure it out? How are they going to play?
If Chelsea can get Palmer and Neto fit for like playing together and fit for an extended run of time, they don't necessarily need one of their midfield to be this creative hub. I feel like Enzo Fernandez can create to a degree. Moises Caicedo can create to a degree. They're not Odegaard levels, but if it come down to it, they could play an incisive pass or two. They could dictate the tempo, etc. But a lot of Chelsea's creativity is going to come from those attackers that play just behind that striker. Palmer, I think he got the second most assists in the league last season. Pedro Neto got like 11 assists last season, despite missing, most of the campaign. If it can all come together in terms of fitness for them, then they don't need the creativity from a Enzo.
And they might be adding João Felix to that as well, unless I've missed
Felix
it.
Is a bomb.
He's a bomb. Question I've got for you. Hang on a sec. We'll come back to that. Egal, I've got a question for you based on what you said. You said that their attack essentially is what's going to keep their heads above water this year.
Yes.
Do you think it will keep their heads above water? Do you think Chelsea's attack will deliver?
I think Chelsea's attack has a lot of players that will deliver. For example, Pedro Neto, if he's fit, he will deliver. Cole Palmer, if he's fit, he will deliver to a similar extent that he did last year. I think Nkunku is a quality player, and I wanted him at Arsenal. If he's fit, he will deliver. The question I have is their defense is shocking in the sense that it's very young. They make a lot of mistakes, and also they are doing similar to what we did with Unai Emery, where they're going to go from playing out the back and having to figure it out early in the season. And it's going to cause a lot of mistakes. And that's why I'm saying they're going to have no choice, Terry, but to go gung-ho and attack. And that's why I think they will deliver goals. It's just they will not be able to keep clean sheets.
I don't think that their defense is shocking, by the way, at all. I just think that right now, it's all depending on, I think they're the biggest unknown going into the season, to be honest, Chelsea, because it can go one way or the other. But a fully fit Chelsea defense is not that bad. I'm going to be honest. If they've got Reece James or Gusto right back, It's the left back position. You've got Cucurella.
Cucurella. Don't do that. Cucurella has been classed. He's been classed the past 6 months.
Oh, yeah. I'm bigging him
in the league.
By the way, I'm bigging him up. I'm bigging him up, David. I'm saying that your defense ain't that bad. That's what I mean. And your centre backs, if you get a fully fit Fofana for a season, he'll grow into the season. He's a good player. I don't care what anyone says. People think he's bad. He just hasn't had a run of games properly. Yeah, and the guy Adebayo, what's his name that you just signed? Yeah, he's good as well. And we see it at Fulham. He's just come in and it's a bit all shaky at the moment, and the defense keeps changing and that. I don't think they've got a bad defense at all. It's all about if they can sort of work. I think the manager's the key part of if they'll keep their head above water next season or not. I think it's the manager rather than the players. I think they've got the players in every position.
That makes a lot of sense. There is another transfer story that involves Arsenal and Chelsea today. I wanted to get opinions on. I saw it in Football.London that Arsenal have made contact with Chelsea over the possibility of signing Madueke for £28 million.
Yep.
Would you take him, Giuseppe, at £28 million to Arsenal as backup to Saka?
Yep. I've been one of the guys that I rate him, man. I rate him a lot. I think as a backup to Saka, someone to come off the bench, he's quality. I think he's I think he's underrated at Chelsea. People just hate on him for some reason. I had an argument with someone today, debate. They were saying, "Oh, but you take him, but you wouldn't take Mudryk." I was like, "What are we doing here, man? How are you talking about Madueke and Mudryk at the same level?" But like for me, I'd take him 28 million as well. I think that's a decent price. I don't know what the Chelsea boys think about us taking him, but I think he's been their best winger pre-season as well. So yeah, I'd 100% take him, and I think
I'm not a fan. He's had a lot of injury issues in his career, and he's 22 years old, and he's not really produced enough to show me that he's going to make that big of a difference. I think if we brought Madueke, we just have a better dribbler version of Nelson on that side, and he won't get much game time or opportunity to continue to develop. I think best choice for him, if he was to go somewhere, to actually play and to continue to develop. And if he came to Arsenal, he'd be more of a hindrance than a help.
Yeah, but you need to at some point get used to seeing Saka on the bench. He can't play.
Madueke can't bench Saka.
No, but he can't play every minute of every game of every season. He will burn out.
One second. That's what Messi does. That's what Ronaldo do. I'm not saying Saka is those guys, but I'm saying
you're talking two players out of 50,000.
Rooney also done that, and his body broke down. Ali also done that, and his body broke down.
Madueke's body breaks down. He played 16 games, 15 games for PSV throughout his career.
You're missing the point, Egal. No one's talking about Saka. No one's talking about Saka being benched by Madueke for long periods of time. They're talking about, do you know what? This Premier League game at home against bottom of the league, we've got 3 points after 8 games. You can start Madueke. Now, when it comes to Messi and Ronaldo,
I don't think it's an improvement.
Yeah, but then you can.
He's definitely better than Reece Nelson. He's better than Reece Nelson.
Based on what?
Based on his dribbling ability, based on his output, he is better than Reece Nelson. He's better than Reece Nelson.
He's better than Reece Nelson.
He's better than Reece Nelson.
Terry, output. I think Reece Nelson had a season where he got that many goals.
Gal, why are you chatting, bro? Stop. This is a joke.
One second.
It's a joke. I'm not letting you do that.
Reece Nelson played 11 games. 11 games for Arsenal.
Hang on, guys. One at a time so the viewers can hear. Sorry, start again, please, Egal, because we couldn't hear.
Reece Nelson played 11 games for Arsenal in 2022-2023 season and got 5 GA. Madueke, you guys are telling me is an upgrade and is better than him. Played 23 games for a Chelsea side where he's basically given the ball and said, do whatever you want, and could only muster 5 goals and 2 assists. Yes, he's a better dribbler. Yes, he is younger and has a potential higher ceiling. But in my opinion, we are basically just signing another problem from Chelsea, another player who needs to be developed. And I think it would be better off to sign a much more experienced player who has shown a level of production that would benefit us immediately than sign Madueke and just go and get a sideways step from Reece Nelson. I don't think it's an improvement. I think it's a sideways step and another project.
Can I say something? When you look at Chelsea, first of all, they're different level to us right now. Last season as well, the seasons that you're talking about, they've been a toxic club with apparently a manager that's not great from the Chelsea fans, and they've done crap Like, you're talking about Reece Nelson in an Arsenal team that's firing all guns blazing, and he's got 5 GA. The fact is, Havertz come into Arsenal last season after producing nothing for Chelsea, and you've seen what's happened.
Oh, we've seen the quality from Havertz. We've never seen the quality from Madueke, my brother.
I think I personally have, though. I personally have. For Chelsea, bro, watching Chelsea, like when you watch him, he's pretty clinical as well. When he gets there, when he actually is in front of goal, he's actually pretty clinical as well. I actually think he's good. Like, I think he's so underrated. I think he's one of Chelsea's most underrated players. I liked him. We watched him against for PSV against us, and he come on and he caused us issues because why? He's got lightning pace. You can't compare him to Reece Nelson. I'm sorry, him coming off the bench for Arsenal.
Pace and dribbling doesn't mean you're a better player. I want effective players. I don't want players who have certain parts of their game and still need to be delivering other things.
Gal, can I ask you
if you guys want somebody to back up Saka, I want somebody who can actually push him. I don't think Madueke can push him. I think Madueke is more of the same of what we already have. Another player with potential who hasn't reached it yet. And I don't want more potential. I'm simply saying right now, if we're going to sign somebody with potential, they have to have at least shown a level of quality and production for them to come into this team and make us better. Madueke does not make Arsenal better. Madueke gives us more of the same of what we have.
What he does give you, Egal, though. What my point originally was not about him starting over Saka. Is about the drop off in quality between Saka and Reece Nelson. For me, is night and day.
It's the same. If you bring in Madueke,
Madueke is playing in a team last season where they literally at times did not have a functioning midfield. They turned up at the Emirates and got steamrolled in a different environment under a different coach with different coaches, different training. You probably would see a lot more out of Madueke. The point I was trying to make in the first place is Bukayo Saka. Man City do not start Foden and De Bruyne every single game of every single season because there has to be a level of rotation. If Bukayo Saka plays 50 games next season and the season after that, by the time he's 28, he'll be made of glass and broken. We saw it happen by the time Rudy got to 29, 30, he started picking up a lot more injuries.
But that doesn't mean just sign anybody because they're 30 million and they're 22.
It doesn't make sense to play in 90 in both games, does it?
I'm not saying play Saka every game. Yes, go get somebody to cover Saka.
So who would you rather come in? Nelson or Madueke? Have to be
Madueke. We could probably find someone in the Premier League right now, but they would probably cost a little bit more. Like Eze. If you want to go get somebody that formerly played for PSV, you can go get Bakayoko, who played for PSV. If you want another winger that I could throw to you, or somebody that can improve our team, at this moment in time, I'm kind of blanking, but there's been a lot of players. There's been the guy that played for Netherlands, who's also a winger. He just recently went somewhere else. There's been so many players we've been speaking to throughout this window that could join Arsenal. We don't have to say, oh, Chelsea want to sell a player, get excited and say Madueke to Arsenal. I think Coleman also, Kingsley Coleman, we've been talking about. We've been speaking about Sane. I think there's players that can improve us. Definitely, we can get a cover for Saka. But why do we have to say Chelsea's selling a player for cheap? Oh, blinkers, let's go get him. He doesn't improve us. He just adds to our problems down the line. Egal. He's 22 years old. He has potential, but there's no guarantee that he reaches his potential. If we're gonna sign a potential player, sign a potential striker like Victor Gyökeres.
Do you have faith in Arteta? Egal.
I do, but I don't have faith in Madueke.
So this is what I'm trying to say, but he must know what he can do with him. If he wants him, that's what I'm saying.
I don't think he wants him. I think it's 2 + 2 = 4. They're just trying to add random things to make it work.
By the way,
2 + 2 + 4 does work.
I know, but I'm saying they're adding 2 and 2 and getting 4 off the. Sorry,
Egal, I get what you mean.
You know the reference.
Egal, I hear you as well. I hear you, Egal. If you don't want him, that's fair. Everyone's allowed their opinions on who
but
they
how
want.
many times do we hear news articles that are not accurate?
But for me, the striker's the main position that we need to get a big player in. So if we get a big player in that position, then we can't get a guy that's going to be levels with Saka because you ain't getting him for under. You ain't getting whoever that is not going to be £30 million unless you find a gem somewhere and you think Madueke is someone that actually does have the ability to level up. He's 22.
Who's to say we don't have a Saka replacement in the team already?
If you want to call Wanyeri the Saka replacement,
Gabriel Jesus.
Yeah, but that's if he can stay fit. That's another hypothetical scenario.
Exactly. Listen,
I'm
I
just saying.
feel like Egal was shat on Madueke so much last season that he hopes it doesn't come through.
I said Chelsea signed a problem. They signed him. They had so many wingers. They didn't need him. They should have signed somebody with more quality in other positions instead of getting Madueke, who's just more of the same.
We're talking
We
about
got Brennan Johnson if you fancy him.
effective players.
This super chat here, we'll go for this super chat because of interest of time. It says Egal is right here. Arsenal needs players that can take Saka out, and then the drop off won't be much. Madueke, do me a favor. P. Scotty says Rooney didn't last due to lifestyle and body shape. I'd rather get Adingra from Brighton. Yeah, that ain't happening. They've spent a lot
I'm
of
not
money.
a fan of that either.
As a gunner, sorry, I'd take Madueke. So we got 1-1 on the super chats there. Haaland and Oscar Bob have had a good connection in pre-season, and the Premier League has never been this open after they sold Alvarez. Of course, Oscar Bob get well soon after suffering a fractured leg. He's going to be out until the new year, and it's probably going to make City go into the transfer market now. That's
scary, man. I feel bad for the kid, man.
Yeah,
€100 million bidding from him, by the way.
Breaking your leg as a player, man.
For who?
I think they're going to bid from someone from Germany. Big money. Someone from Dortmund, maybe Adeyemi. He's maybe linking. I don't know. I think City will break the bank. They have to now. They've got no.
I agree. They shouldn't break the bank.
They spent their money on Adeyemi. I would question any decision making.
There's a lot of potential. There's a €100 million release clause, isn't there?
Yeah,
well, there's talk today. There's talk today that Man City and Spurs are going to end in the last week or so of the window are going to battle out for Eze.
We ain't getting him over.
Like, combine Luis Diaz, please.
Guys. Kate, what kind of battle would that be between Man City and Spurs for a player?
It will be Man City go in for him and Spurs go, all right, then you can have him. I mean, if City come in against Spurs, who are you going to pick? It's not rocket science, is it? And I don't see Spurs getting him. The reason we haven't got him is they want 50 million up front. And Daniel Levy probably had a heart attack at they even thought of that concept. So I think there's more chance of me flying to the moon than us getting Eze.
I hear you on that.
2-1.
2-1 with the super chats. No, I hear you. On Arsenal as well, Fabrizio has sort of followed on from Ornstein now and kind of reported this breakthrough that you're having with the Merino deal. Are you a little frustrated, Giuseppe, that it's kind of dragged itself and he isn't already in, or are you still quite relaxed? In a number of Gooners online, pretty frustrated that it isn't over the line as of yet.
I'm all right. It can get frustrating because you just want to see it done. And I think the thing that frustrates me more than anything is just having to read the constant bull crap on Twitter and stuff like that. That's why I stay away from Twitter now, because the amount of bull crap you read. For me, I'm calm. Once again, I've said Arsenal are in a place. Arsenal fans need to level up, in my opinion, with their mentalities. I swear to God, because Arsenal fans still right now have the mentality of us finishing 8th and that. Our team ain't like that anymore. Whoever we sign, for me, wouldn't really be starting the first couple of games of the season regardless, because I think we stick with the first part of the season. Unless you sign an absolute superstar like a Declan Rice type signing, they don't really start first couple of games of the season, because you let them embed in the team and find their way and that, and then you bring them in. We've got a good enough team to win our first couple games without them coming in. So I'm calm with it. Plus, if it means getting the best deal possible, I said, as long as it ends up getting over the line, I'll be fine. I don't need them to rush. As long as I get the signings I want by the end of the transfer window, I'm happy. Come the end of the transfer window now, if we don't have these players, that's when I'm going to be frustrated and annoyed and voice my opinion. But yeah, for me, I don't mind. Listen, I think it's going to happen. Again, the players said he 100% wants Arsenal. It's the team he wants, and that's it. So now, if he only wants us and he's only willing to go to us and he has a year left on his deal, now if they're asking for a bit more than we're willing to pay, well, we're going to hold out a little bit and say, listen, he only wants us. You're going to let him run down his contract. So that's how you bargain. That's how you go back and forth with transfers like this. You don't just give people, and I don't want Arsenal to just give them what they want and be happy with it. Like certain people just pay what they want, just pay what they want. I don't want that because I want the best deal possible for my team, and I don't care what people say. It ain't my money, But spending less now means that in the future we can spend more money or stuff like that, and FFP reasons and stuff. So I'm happy with how we're moving with the Merino stuff, as long as we get him over the line.
I fully agree. And I think another perspective people need to look at is we saved a little bit of money on the Calafiori deal because we took a little longer. Now, if we do the same on the Mikel Merino deal, that's just frees up more money where we can make another signing this window and we can get that attacker that we're looking for. Now, if we do it the way that certain people want it, just get it done. Well, then in that case, we would have spent more money on Calafiori because to get it done earlier, we would have just expected to pay whatever they wanted, and we would have got Mikel Merino sorted already because we would have just paid more than what they wanted. And paying more for each signing, eventually it adds up, and you're just wasting money. If you just go to the negotiation table, you can always get better. And I fully agree. And the reference that I use is, doesn't matter, guys, if you have something that you want to buy, and you know what you want, and you get it done before the store closes, do you care that the store closes 2 minutes before you buy it?
If I've got a busy day, yeah.
I guess it depends. It matters what stage
it depends what you're
also
buying. It depends what you're buying. Do you know what I mean? So, like, if my daughter's going to school and she needs a new pencil case, but I buy it at the end of the day, she's done a day with no pencil case, isn't she? Do you know what I mean? Like,
it depends what your club needs. Arsenal right now, as he said, with Jorginho fit.
By the way, my daughter has a pencil case for school already. She's fine. I don't send her to school carrying her pencils in her hand. No, I get where you're coming from. I've seen a lot of gooners online, though, that feel like you're buying meaty players. They feel like your club's being a disgrace for taking care of the pennies when it comes to PSR. How we got into this kind of trouble? Why are we trying to sell before we buy? Do you think your club is behaving in the right way and essentially taking care of the pennies so the pans take care of themselves?
Yeah, I think that what people don't want to realize is Arteta's actually setting Arsenal to be successful for a long period of time. That's what he's trying to aim for. He don't want us to be good for 1-2 seasons and then, all of a sudden we lose this player, we lose that player, and we're back down at 8th in square one with crap transfer policies and all that and a rubbish backroom stuff. They've wanted to change everything. This is how you start. You've got to start somewhere. Some things might frustrate you, but in the long run, in my opinion, they're the things that move your club up as a serious club.
Guys wanted Emerson Royale, remember, over Tomiyasu. They wanted Maddison over Odegaard. They wanted friggin' Neto from Barcelona over Ramsdale. We wanted Lewis Dunk instead of Ben White. Like, it's if you listen to the fans, you're gonna find yourself.
But that's the thing. I think that's where, like, football fans have got to learn to be a little bit more. People are still so polarized. It's, I haven't got what I wanted, so I am going to absolutely spit venom all over my football club. And the amount of times we're all wrong, the amount of times we're right, it is around 50-50. Maybe some people are right more often than they're not. But as you say, I remember that summer a few years ago where you signed White and Tomiyasu, and even the positive gooners. When I said I think you've had a good summer, going mental at me. No, we should have signed Buendia. We should have signed, as you say, Dunk. We should have got these guys. If you now fast forward, it's crazy. I always remember that famous thing. It's years back now. Lee Gunner posted where he wanted the likes of Ryan Fraser and the like. Now, at the time that opinion went out, Ryan Fraser was killing it. He was killing it. And we've all done it. You know, I remember when we signed Alex Telles. I thought Alex Telles was going to prove to be a world-class left back. We all make these predictions and get them wrong. But once you've been on the internet enough, whether you're just in the comments, whether you're just on Twitter, whether you show your face and make content as we do, whatever it is, there comes a point where you must start looking at it and saying, I'm going to give my opinion and I'm going to stand by it. But the level of polarization and toxicity that comes with it, with the amount of things have all got wrong by now, it strikes me as strange that we're still in that sort of 2016 mind space where this is all quite new to us. And I think a lot of people felt like I'd say it and I'm always right. Because maybe in your friends group, you think you're right. Because your friends don't really pull out receipts in that way. One person might, but you say things and it's just lad talk in the pub. The internet's different. The receipts are there. So I think people have got to learn to be a little bit less toxic with these things.
I think if we win one league title, Terry, I think if we win one league title, that might change how Arsenal fans trust levels in the club, because a lot of people still don't trust the club.
It won't with the toxic people. I'll tell you as to why. What they will then do is they will go, yeah, but this is what they'll do. I'm telling you this now, as sure as eggs are eggs. What they will do is go, it's one title in 5 years, though. I want more now. And say you don't win the title the next year, they'll say he's won 1 out of 6 titles. They'll look for it, and it'll be whatever that is. What's 1 out of 6 is the percentage? Anyone know off the top of their head? Like what's that going to be? Like
it's like
20,
17%. 17%.
Yeah, that'll be 17% of the time he succeeded, which means the majority of the time he's been a failure. That is what these people will do, and I'm calling it out now. Clip this up, and I know it. But Egal, you've seen my tweets. I've tweeted about Man United before when I go, all the negative United fans will love what's going on now until Bruno gets a new contract or a player they hate is kept and a player they love is sold. Then boom, then they turn toxic straight away. Because that is what negative people. That is what
remember
last year? Do.
Remember last year when Arsenal dropped points to Fulham at home? We're not winning the title. We're not going nowhere. That game, they said the season's done. It was mental.
Exactly. So it's what you'll get. Like 1/6 is okay, there you go. So 16.66%. And what you'll get people doing is go. So we've been. They'll basically say we have been a failure 84% of the time. I ain't happy. Raise your standards. That's exactly what will come out of their mouths. And what you won't get, and then what they will do is they'll set a percentage of what you've got to win, and they'll set it at a point which is almost unachievable and might have only been done by 2 or 3 clubs in a 5-6 year period in English football 2 or 3 times. But they'll set the standard here, and it's like they've done all the time with Arteta. He'll be sacked in 6 months. Won't make the top 4. He will never get us into the title challenge. We won't sustain it next year. When he wins it, they'll move it. He'll never achieve. I see it happen to Cristiano Ronaldo his whole career. From the day he joined Man United until the day he started to decline, they just moved the goalpost. They just, but you don't score enough of these goals. He's scoring them now. Yeah, but what does he do in finals? Oh, bloody hell, he scored in all those finals. You know what? Hasn't got a good record against Barca. Oh, my God, he scored in the last 5 El Clasicos. Just keep kicking the can down the street. What you've got to learn to do is what I do. My favorite button is the mute button. And when people are negative about you as well, or you see them being negative about you, it's great because that becomes the block button. And the more of these people you mute and block, the nicer your timeline becomes. It's you can cleanse it. It's like washing your hair. Do you know? You youngers won't get this. When I used to go out when I was younger,
saying that.
You go out to a nightclub when I was younger. Kate will remember this, and it's probably going to be about it. Maybe Giuseppe. You'd come home, and in the morning you would stink of cigarette smoke. It'd be in your hair, in your clothes. It's horrible. You showered, and like when you first got in the shower, it was horrible because you could taste all the nicotine. Right? That's how I feel about cleansing my timeline sometimes. I like the challenge my football opinion. But you know the people that, it doesn't matter what you do, they're always going to be angry. What is the point of engaging with them? Mute and block is what I say. Viewers, make sure you hit the like buttons and the share buttons here. Fun fact, KDB since 2021 has scored 3 goals in the Champions League semi-final, which is more than Arsenal in their entire Champions League history. Cheers, Giuseppe and Egal. Big up.
So is Lucas Moura. But who cares?
Listen, listen.
Yeah, City have won it, Henry. I wouldn't. Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't fact checked that. I haven't fact checked that. Maybe it's true. But
you scored 1 goal against Man United in the semi-final over 2 legs. You must have scored when you got to the final in 2006 because you got to the final. You didn't win. You didn't win on penalty
against Real Madrid. Omri did.
He scored a hat-trick against them. So if that's the
not
game,
in the semi-final.
I don't think that was the semis though.
No, I think that was the quarter. I was in the quarterfinals. I was in Manchester still when that was going, and it was quarterfinals. There we go. Save money on them too, and don't sign an attacker. No doubt they will say the right player wasn't available. Penny pinch, okay. I expect a top striker or winger at Arsenal.
Well, this is the thing, right? Everyone's saying penny pincher right now. No one's going to be saying that at the end of the transfer window. If we go and so, like, this is what I'm saying. Like, this is why I say to people, I like to hush my gums until the end of the transfer window. Otherwise, you look like a clown. Because people that are moaning right now and going on and on and on will then come the end of the transfer window. For example, we may sign Merino, Gyökeres, and a winger. Even if it's Madueke or another winger or whoever it is, 30+ million, and then all of a sudden we've had a really good window, and everyone that's been moaning the whole time has just wasted their energies. Like the wasted energies is crazy.
If you sign Madueke and Merino and you finish that transfer window of Calafiori and those two, and City don't sign anyone, well, I think they will, but let's say they sign, I don't know, for argument's sake, hypothetically, Adeyemi from Dortmund. Do you think you'll win the league? Or
I
do you
think we'll
think
win
we've got a
the.
much better chance?
Hang
I
on,
think
we're going to
we'll-
get into that later.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
too,
yeah,
that's part of the prediction. So let's
Basically,
and we're going to move.
Giuseppe saying, ask him in August. Ask him at the end of
Yeah.
August.
Hang on.
It is
Right,
August.
Ches. By the way, Ches is the only person in the group chat that I haven't seen return his predictions yet. Like, he's the only one. He's questioning everybody else's, but he hasn't returned his own. The man is a funny guy. This is an interesting one day before we go on to the season. This has come out from Damaso. If Chelsea don't accept Napoli's offer of around 30 million euros for Lukaku in the next few hours, they say they're going to complete the signing of Neres in deal instead.
Nice try, mate. Conte's in love with Lukaku, so that ain't happening.
There we go.
If you don't sell us your striker, we'll buy a winger instead, and I still need to buy a striker. So it's not a threat.
Prez here says no disrespect to her partner, but Kate is gorgeous. Basically, that's what he's saying there. So there we go.
I haven't got anything to say to that. It's been a while. That's all I'll say. It's been a
Oh,
while
you
since
bastard,
I've said
Jimbo,
that.
not telling your wife she's gorgeous.
Apart from Jim.
Ah, all right. I was gonna have words. I'm gonna have words with Phil Mitchell over there. Look, people, hit like buttons and make sure you're subscribing for us. We're gonna start the season predictions. And we're gonna start with my favorite one, which is underperformers. And I'm going to Giuseppe to begin with. Why can't I find it? Here it is. Giuseppe says that Cole Palmer is going to be the underperformer of the season. I need to know why.
That's what you said. That's changed it to Spurs. But no, the reason I say Cole Palmer, now listen, by the way, yeah, David's getting ready, but by underperformer, I'm not by any means saying he's going to have a bad season. I don't think he's going to have a bad season by being an underperformer. But I think what everyone expects him to produce this season, I don't know if he'll produce that. I don't think he'll produce that. Now, by the way, if he gets 15 GA this season, that's underperforming. So that's when
if he gets 15 GA, what's overperforming?
What's overperforming?
Yeah, so if he has another season like last season, I'm assuming that's.
What did he get last year? 32?
Yeah. Over 30, yeah.
So this is what I'm saying. For me, if he has an okay season, because by the way, his GA was, as much as people don't want to hear it, was heavily on the amount of penalties that Chelsea got. Yeah,
You got to
same
score
as
him.
when. Yeah, no, I give 100%. But the same as that season when Man United got all them penalties and Bruno got insane GA, and everyone tries to use that against Bruno all the time. He was a Bruno Penandes and all this. All that stuff. So for me, Palmer this season, I actually believe he could underperform. I'll say it. I've said it.
Just out of interest, he got 33 last year. So if he got 20 this year, you'd consider that underperforming.
If he gets under 20, this season, I would say that's underperforming. Yes, right, from what Chelsea fans,
it's an interest. I get your thinking. I do get it. I'm not going to sit here and be like, that's a crazy take, because ultimately because again it's a new manager. We could end up in a new system where he performs exceptionally well, but he ends up getting loads of second assists instead of normal assists. So on his official GA, he only gets 16 or 17, but like it doesn't show up. I get that.
I'm going to Kate next. Your underperformer you have down as Bruno Fernandes.
I do. You know why, Terry? You built it up so massive over the Euros. This is going to be his competition. He's going to shine. He's going to be the man, and he did nothing. He's now got a new contract extension. I just think he's going to have a really poor season. That's my prediction. And I can't wait for it. I'm here for it. I'm ready for the tears and the excuses. But yeah, I just got a feeling he's going to do an Adebayor, get his contract extension and not give a monkeys.
Tom, you've gone with Son at Tottenham.
I feel like you've got Solanke in them, who isn't the kind of striker that I think is going to play into Heung-min Son's hands. So I feel that for Son, he's going to have to stick out wide a lot more and go more into a creative type of role. And I just don't see, at this point in his career, him adapting to that as well as he could do in years gone by. I feel like Son's normally a guy who gets you really decent numbers. I feel like this could be a season where the numbers seem to dry. He might get, a couple more assists than usual, but certainly struggles on the goal scoring side with the new additions, and probably, because he was up front a lot last season for Tottenham. So the one thing I like about Postecoglou's system is the striker gets a lot of chances. The system's kind of built to give the striker the chances in the box. If Son's out on the wing, he's not going to get them chances that he was getting.
But that doesn't mean he's not going to perform, because if he's running down that wing, creating opportunities,
I don't think he can create as well, though. I don't think he's a creator.
He's underperformed by his standards, or genuinely just underperformed the whole season. Because he got 27 GA last year, which for a 31-year-old is a pretty good return.
I'm saying that Son could have his season like the one he had before last. Where he was like a very
10 league
player.
Goals,
He'd have a month where he was dead good, and then 3 where he was just off the boil. I think you could have another season like that from Son.
Okay. Fair enough.
Bad take, to be fair.
David, we're coming to you next, and you've said Declan Rice is going to be the underperformer of the season. Tell me why.
That man caused me so much grief. It's deserved. That's point one.
People weren't there at the Euros. That man in the fan park, any England game, he would hold the mic for half an hour and just go on and on about how Declan Rice is the problem.
KJ didn't lose that whatever the thing. I can't remember what it's called. I'm having a mind hard drive. You man would have seen a compilation of me just cussing this man out because he was so bad, right? And also, he's 100 mil. Now, for 100 mil, his objective is to win big trophies. And if them man don't do it, for me, he's a flop. I don't care.
David, half your midfield is 100 mil. I'm just putting that.
No, but yeah. No, but again, why are you acting like I wouldn't put that on my own club? I have been the biggest proponent of 100 mil signings are stupid. You should never do them, because ultimately it's too much pressure and it's hard to live up to. That Declan Rice guy who can't even pass a ball forward is 100 mil. He's on fraud watch. I'm watching Arsenal games intently now because I think I've been lied to. I'm watching him. So that's my biggest underperformer.
Egal, can you imagine Declan Rice underperforming based on his standards this season?
I think because he's on set pieces, he's gonna get more assists, and in the role that he's in, he's not. How is he going to be underperforming? We have a balanced team. He's not going to be sticking out as an underperformer unless you start seeing him having stinkers week after week, and that's very unlikely. The worst you're going to see out of him.
I saw him have stinkers 6 games in a row.
The worst you're going to see where England.
Yeah, I see it.
I think what you look at in football is different from what he's actually supposed to be doing. Because I thought he had a decent tournament. You're over.
What?
Yeah.
Nah. Egal. Don't set me up.
Because we'll see him again. If
you think
okay, let me ask you a simple question. If you watch England's games, you said the man barely passed the ball forward. Who passed the ball forward more, him or Kobe Mainoo?
Like again, it's weird. Kobe Mainoo again. Did he really pass the ball forward? No, but at least he regressed it through dribbling. Declan Rice was passing it to this guy, misplaced pass. I want it back. Oh, I'm gonna go back to. I'm not having it. I'm sorry, I ain't having it.
I want to jump in. I don't think Declan Rice is going to underperform. I think he'll have another good season. However, let's not start comparing a player that's 19 versus a player in his mid to late 20s.
No, Terry. I'm
down.
strictly speaking about. This is not a shot at Kobe Mainoo for 1 second.
Oh, it was.
Understand that this is strictly because everyone speaks about one player as if he cannot pass the ball forward at all. But at the same time, if you compare him to his teammates, he passed the ball forward more often than his own teammates. So in one breath, they're dissing one guy. In the other breath, they're bigging up another guy. I get it, the age difference, but I'm simply saying your eye test is showing you that you don't know what you're talking about.
Okay.
Well,
viewers, give us your thoughts, give us your feelings. We can't debate all these subjects for like half an hour, otherwise we literally will be here for about 5 hours. So, Egal, your underperformer of the season, you're going with Enzo Fernandez. Tell us why, Egal.
Not only do I think he's going to underperform, I think it's going to be a situation where he's going to be out of favor and not even in the first team. like consistently getting picked as a starter. I think he's going to be a rotation bench player come the end of the season. I think you're going to have guys like Nkunku forcing their way into the team. You have Caicedo, who's going to be consistently there, Lavia, who's coming back from injury, and I think with the manager who came from Leicester, he's going to be picking what's it called? Dewsbury Hall consistently. So with Caicedo and Dewsbury Hall there, and potentially Nkunku or somebody else playing in a 10, where is Enzo going to play? Not only is he going to underperform, I think it's going to be a situation where you're going to have 100 million plus on the bench consistently come the end of the season. And there might be some problems with the ownership and the people who bought him saying, you got to play this guy. And they're going to be like, he can't even get on the pitch.
Don't say that to Don.
I think the comparison with having, I don't think Enzo's competing with Lavia per se. What I imagine is going to happen is I imagine Lavia, Caicedo, and Enzo will be on rotation, but the actual rotation will be between whether Caicedo plays as an 8 or as a 6. That's what I actually.
What about Dewsbury Hall?
I think
Dewsbury Hall is going to be in.
I think Dewsbury Hall and Nkunku are playing in that most forward role as in like Chelsea's midfield. So again, I don't think Enzo's competing for that role.
So what role is he competing with? Because
there's 3 in midfield. There's 3 in midfield. There's a 6. There's 6, an 8, and a 10. Let's say, right. The 6s are Caicedo and Lavia. The 8s are Enzo and Caicedo. The 10s are Nkunku and Dewsbury Hall. So I don't think they're actually in direct. I mean, again, that's what I've seen from preseason. I could be wrong, so I'm not going to sit here and be like it's a mad take, but that's personally what I see it as. But
who are your 2 essentials that are going to start week in, week out at Chelsea?
I think it depends who you play. I think you could end up in a situation where if we're playing Arsenal or Man City and we're getting dominated, I think you can end up with a midfield 3 of Lavia, Caicedo, and Enzo playing all together. I think that could happen. But I think I think if you play like a Ipswich, then you end up in a situation where you're going to have Lavia, Enzo, and Nkunku, or you could end up with Nkunku and Palmer playing if we need a goal. So,
100 million Caicedo on the bench?
It could happen. I'm not going to say it wouldn't, but I wouldn't sign them for tonight.
I think Dewsbury Hall is going to be the guy who him and Caicedo are going to be the 2 guys who are staples, and the other position, depending on if you're going attacking, defensive, or you're facing a team that's just you can patter, you're going to play the other person as Nkunku or Lavia, or if there is ever a case where you play Enzo, I think still Caicedo and Dewsbury Hall are going to be the essentials for Chelsea, and that's where Enzo becomes expendable.
There we go. Viewers, give us your thoughts, give us your feelings on that. And Henry, we're going to your pick. You've picked a team, not a player. You have said Aston Villa will underperform.
Yeah, I think Villa last year could get away with rotating a lot of their bigger stars, Douglas Luiz, Watkins, etc. in the Conference League. And I think we may see a similar season to when Newcastle had the Champions League. Have Villa done a good transfer window? By all means, have signed some good players, Onana, Maatsen, etc., etc. But I just think with Watkins being their main goal threat, and Diaby's gone, having to play every single basically game now, I think there is going to be a bit of a drop-off. They've got a fantastic manager, though, Unai Emery, but I do think they could finish anywhere between kind of 6 and 8. And for me, that is a significant drop-off from being in the Champions League last year.
It is. It could be. Viewers, give us your thoughts, give us your feelings on that. We've got some super chats on that particular section. First one says, come on, Tom, don't play the usual terrorist Liverpool fan. I don't know what that means, but there we go.
I don't even think I've actually discussed Liverpool at any point today.
How can Rice be the underperformer if Arsenal win the league?
He could get dropped.
There we go. Palmer is the best player in the world. Keep crying, haters, is what Abdi says here. Rice has one of the highest forward pass percentages in the Premier League.
I'm watching every Arsenal game. Trust me, I'm sat down. If I can,
tells me you're going to end up changing your opinion then.
That's cool. If I change my opinion, I hold my hands up. I'll say I was wrong. But as of today, forward watch.
Alfie here says can't pass forward, but scored a goal against Chelsea halfway out on a first touch, is what Alfie says. I haven't heard more nonsense from one person in my life. Any F1 teams hiring. If Rice scores against Chelsea again, David should wear an Arsenal kit for a full top 6 show. Yeah, deal.
No, you can't include the deal for me.
No, I can't. I like the deal though. It's a good offer.
What about if Rice gets player of the season? What about if Rice gets player of the season? Then you.
If Rice gets player of the season, no,
no. Someone asked David who had the most forward passes in the knockout stages of the Euros. I bet it's Declan Rice, isn't it?
No, it might be, but you weren't there. You didn't know the I can't lie. It's an agenda. It's trauma that's manifested itself on the paper. That's what it is.
How is it trauma? You support Germany sometimes.
No, I'm an England fan first. Everyone will tell you I'm an England fan first.
Yeah, watching him over there was definitely England. Definitely.
Yeah,
England.
exactly.
Darren here says, how can you compare Southgate's lifeless tactics with Arteta's, who really performed? Wasn't Foden the player of the season?
He was a fraud as well. No, I'm telling you, Walker, Rice, Kane, Foden, all of them, they're all in the same boat for me. All of them.
So why didn't you pick the player of the season to be a letdown?
Because I wanted it to be Declan Rice. Ooh, no.
I don't think people understand.
We are moving on next.
What player? No player was safe from David and then Fan Parks. No player.
That's true. We're moving on to the play. We're not doing all of them because of time, but we're doing player of the season. And Giuseppe, you have gone for Martin Odegaard.
Yeah. Well, originally I put on. I wasn't going to put Odegaard. I was going to put Zubi. But then I realized they ain't coming to the Premier League. No, sorry, I just had to get one little dig on Tom there. No, yeah, Odegaard, man. I think this is going to be a season. I think this season he's going to level up. And I think at the end of the season, people will be calling him world class. That's just me. People might think I'm wrong. But yeah, man, Odegaard, he just seems like more. I just look at him and he just seems more mature. He was already getting it last season. That second half of the season last year, he leveled up. Like he come back from when he had that niggle and that, had a little time out, come back and he just seemed like he'd leveled up. And I think this season he's going to be the player of the season. I think if we win the league, I think he'll be the main reason. Personally,
he could be. Kate, you have gone with Rodri of Manchester City again.
Yeah. Best player in the Premier League, in my opinion. One of the best players, if not the best player in the world. I just think he's different gravy, and he's just brilliant every season. And I think he will be player of the season this year, in my opinion. Even though I haven't put Man City to win the league.
That doesn't make sense.
Yes, it does.
I think you'll find it does. Kane was one of the best players in the league many times, and yet Tottenham never won rock all.
No, I mean.
Facts.
They're not going to give Rodri. They're not going to give Rodri the award if Arsenal win the league. They're going to give it to an Arsenal player.
That's not
right.
Many a times it's happened. The year that Man United won the treble, David Ginola won it.
Oh, okay. My point is, what's the chances they give it to a defensive midfielder?
Can I just say something, Egal? You're so sensitive about Arsenal. I've put you to win the league and you're still crying like a little girl because I didn't put one of your players.
Kate, hear my logic. When you win that award and your team hasn't won the league, usually you're an attacker who has scored an absurd amount of goals. I don't know the last time they gave Premier League player of the season to a player who didn't win the league that's not an attacking player.
Kevin De Bruyne.
Now?
No, but Kevin De Bruyne, even himself, he's a midfielder who's an attacker.
Vidic.
Like, when was the last time you seen a defensive midfielder or a centre back or a left back or a goalkeeper win an award when their team didn't win it? I think that's a valid point.
Can I ask you a question though? When was the last time we saw a defensive midfielder who is as pivotal and as good for his team as Rodri is? Where literally the last year, barring a lot. Look, Kante was amazing. I'm not putting him down at all. But Rodri barely loses a game when he plays. Barely loses a game. And then and we can say his team carries him or whatever. soon as he's out of that team, they lose. Like the impact he has is ridiculous. So
And
I
to
think
be
it's
fair, Egal, although
logical.
I've done you to win the league, I don't think you're going to trounce the league. I think it'll be 1 or 2 points in it. You're just going to edge it. So there's no reason that Rodri can't be player of the season. But I'm sorry
All
to
I'm
have
asking
offended
is,
you.
somebody please tell me a time where a non-attacker from another team
Van Dijk in
that didn't win the
2018-19.
league, that didn't win the league, won it.
Van Dijk in 2018-19.
You guys lost and he won it.
Yeah, we didn't win the league that year, but Van Dijk still won Player of the Year.
Fair enough.
So it's happened.
Sorry, Kate. That's all
Isn't
right.
he third favourite for the Ballon d'Or as well?
Yeah.
No, but
that's
then,
crazy.
once again, when Van Dijk won it, you won the league.
No, we didn't. Kevin De Bruyne won it the year that Kevin De Bruyne won it the year we won the league.
That is true. I remember.
So 2 years running, you had a
player who didn't
midfielder,
win the
not an
league.
attacker, and a
If you want- if
defender,
you wanted
not
to
an
get
attacker,
better-
that won it when they didn't win the league. So it's happened 2 years running, Egal, recently. We're moving on. We're moving
Fair enough,
on.
I'll leave it.
Tom, we're going to Tom. You have picked Rodri as well.
Best
How
player
dare
in the
you.
best team in the
How
league.
dare you, mate? You should be embarrassed.
He's the best player in the best team in the league. I saw the stat today. They have a 25% win rate without him, or 75% loss rate without him, and a 0% loss rate with him in like the Premier League last season or whatever it was, which is the most mental stat going. And once again, City still haven't bought him a backup, so he's going to be playing the majority of the games. So he's not going to be subject to Pep roulette. So he's going to be getting 35, 36, 37 games, barring injury and suspension. So if Rodri just has another Rodri season, it's his. He should have, in my opinion, he should have won it last year. He was the best player on the best team. This year, I think he will just improve again, going off the back of winning the Euros with Spain. And I think that he'll win it again. And he is the most important part of that City side. And I'm backing them to go 5 in a row. So I think
There
this is
we
the
go.
year that he finally gets his flowers.
David, you have gone with Haaland to get it this year.
I think he's just going to get another 35 goals or something ridiculous. Sorry. Like, I still think Arsenal going to win the league, but I just think he's going to score so many goals. And again, last year he wasn't fit for the whole season, and he's just going to be like, do you know what? I'm just every time he's gonna like, if he misses a chance, I can't even put into words how good he is, because it's like every time he misses a chance, I back him to score the next 5 of those chances he missed. Like, it's just he's just scoring so many goals. He'll score 30, 35.
I need to know something. You have Arsenal winning the league, but you have Declan Rice as an underachiever and Erling Haaland winning the thing. So is Partey replacing Declan Rice and he's on the bench or something?
Can I not edge my bets? Can I not?
No, it kind of contradicts. It kind of contradicts your other
Gal,
prediction.
you got to realize David's already said it's an agenda.
It's an agenda. Do you get me? Like, Egal, like, again, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't pick Bukayo Saka or Martinelli to like appease yourself. I'm so sorry, bro. But like, I just think Haaland's sick, and he's gonna.
No,
score
Haaland
30.
makes sense. Haaland makes sense. I was just trying to understand.
32 goals. And also, yeah, if Rice gets benched by Thomas Partey, then what? What happens? Am I wrong?
You see?
Am I wrong?
We finally got there. That's what you mean.
Am I wrong? Can I? If you can see the pathway, why can't I have my agenda and let the pathway? Like, come on, man.
I just wanted to
pick.
ask.
Egal, you have gone for William Saliba as the player of the season. Tell us why, mate. Tell us why.
I just think William Saliba is going to show everybody that he's the best center back in the world this season, and he's going to make sure we have one of our best defensive records in Premier League history. He's an Iron Man. He stays fit. When he plays, he makes football look easy, and I think he has one of the best winning percentages in Premier League history for the games that he's played. He's almost won every single game. I think he's only seen like a handful of losses in his whole Premier League career. And that's a credit to how good he is defensively, and also a credit to how good the team has come in the time that he's been here. And I just think if we do win the league, he is going to be the guy who shines. And I know it's as a defender, but I do think he will be the guy who stands out and shows everybody that he is up there as one of the best players in the world.
That contradicts a little bit of what you said to Gate, because if we win the league, if you think that they'll give it to Saliba over Saka or Odegaard, if we win the league, knowing how much
here's why
to win the league.
Oh, 1 second.
I think it's wrong.
1 second. Here's why. Here's why I think Saliba's going to win it. I think everyone's going to look at Arsenal and they're going to say, you know what? Saka's chipping in here. Odegaard's chipping in there. Havertz is chipping in there. You got Martinelli or Trossard chipping in there. But then they look over to the defense. They're going to say, this guy Saliba has been the guy who's going to hold it down for the whole year. And he's just he's the guy who I think is the closest thing to one of the best in his position in the world. And I don't think anybody else in our team you could say that.
Where would you rank him in the world?
At this moment in time, because he hasn't gotten those trophies yet, I would say he's easily top 3.
Can you put him above Rudiger?
I put Rudiger in the top 3. I'm not saying in any
performance
particular
last
order.
night was just
You put Rudiger in there. You put Rudiger in there. You put Saliba in there, and you put Van Dijk in there. I think right now he's shown last season he's a better player than Ruben Diaz. I think he's shown last season.
What about Militao or Alaba?
He's better than those guys. The only guys that are in this conversation right now are Van Dijk in his prime and Rudiger right now. That's it.
Van Dijk in his prime, not Van Dijk now.
So you're telling me Van Dijk now isn't in the same conversation?
Van Dijk now has ups and downs. His age is he's not that old.
He's not
have ups and downs.
Egal, let me ask you a question. You made the top 3. Who do you put number 1?
Sorry?
Who do you put number 1?
Number 1?
Who's the best centre back in the world?
What do you mean for what? What we're talking about?
Yeah. Sorry, I got lost for a second. So right now, I would say Rudiger's number 1. I would say Saliba second, Van Dijk third.
I know Egal wants to put Saliba number 1. I know. I can see
I
it.
just basically can't put him number 1 right now. I think because of how good Rudiger has been for the last calendar year, and plus the stupidness of me doing that combined 11 and leaving Rudiger out. I do feel really dumb right now. So I got to put Rudiger in there. But outside of that, I think last year and the year before that, no bias, I think Saliba has had better season than Van Dijk in the Premier League, both seasons. And you could say Liverpool are a worse team, but in those 2 seasons, I think hands down he's shown he's a better player right now. And
I'm not saying I agree with this, Egal, but you do know that Romero's numbers were actually better than Saliba's last season.
And
Just
guess
saying.
what? Mustafi's numbers were better than Van Dijk's his first season also.
But Mustafi didn't get man of the match in back-to-back Copa Americas, did he?
Yeah,
and
but
win the World Cup.
I
But
will
he did
say
win the
something,
World
though.
Cup.
When you,
One
when
second,
you're
he
t-
did.
when-
Mustafi did
right,
win the World Cup. Mustafi
Okay.
did win the World Cup.
Saliba don't let himself get. I'm just gonna say, Saliba don't let himself get into them situations that
As a team,
Romero
we don't
get
let
into
ourselves
to
face
make-
those
to
many
get them
shots.
stats. to
Again,
stack
also,
them.
I heard fans last year saying that Gabriel.
Guys, it's not unbelievable that the best defender on a team that wins the league based on how good their defense is, which I believe that's how we're going to win the league, is going to then get credited to that. Same way Cannavaro did, same way Ivanovic,
And that's fair. I think that's fair. Vidic. No, I think that's fair.
All I'm gonna
Henry.
say,
Sorry, go on,
sorry.
David, then we'll move on.
I was going to say, I think the only way Arsenal centre-backs win the player of the season is if you get close to Chelsea's record. And let's be honest, that ain't happening.
I think it's arguable that we could have a really good defensive season, one of the best defensive seasons we've seen since Man City's season where Ruben Diaz won it. So
could happen. Henry, your player of the season, you have gone for Phil Foden back to back.
Yeah.
Hang on, I've got to ask you first though,
thinker.
and I need a serious answer about
It's
this.
nothing to do with my haircut.
Is it the haircut? The hair?
No,
I mean,
it's
is
nothing to do
that
with
what
my
it
haircut.
is? Okay, all right, go on then, bruv. Go on.
One, I think he last year was absolutely unbelievable. In the biggest games, he dragged them through alongside Rodri. Number 2, I think he's got the best PR in the Premier League. And as soon as he has a great performance, the Premier League love to talk about him. And I just think they're going to be even more dependent on him this season. Can De Bruyne play that many games this season? Oscar Bob out injured. I think in that position, there isn't, and I know Giuseppe and Egal gave me like Odegaard. There isn't a 10 in the league I'll take over Foden. I think he's absolutely mustard. In an England shirt, different question. But for City, in Pep's system, I think he's going to have an unbelievable season. I think he could get 20 league goals. I think he's going to have a top season, be player of the season. And the Premier League love him. He can't do no wrong. So he's on the top of the mountain already for them.
The Premier League love him, but he can do wrong for England. And
Yeah,
I
for
think,
England, as I said, it's a different argument. He was
It'll
trash.
I hear that 100%. I do think that if Arsenal win the league, they will give it to an Arsenal player, just because Arsenal haven't won.
Oh
the
yeah,
league
that's a
in
different
so
argument.
long.
But if City win the league,
But we know that
I'm going to contradict myself.
Once again, I hardly ever agree with the Player of the Season award. I'll be honest. I can't remember
Yeah,
a
it's a
time
PR
where
thing.
I've agreed with that. Even last season, it should have been Rodri, 100%. Foden shouldn't have got it over
Wait,
Rodri.
it should have been Palmer last year. That's not what
I'll go away, man.
Should have been Palmer. He was
But
cooking.
Palmer
Foden's
that young
legacy
player.
last season was like
He should have got both.
scoring worldies at the
Oh, what?
Bernabeu.
For finishing 5th.
6th.
Mhm. 6th. Still, yes, 100%. Do you know what he did? He put a whole team on his back. A whole team
I
on his back.
want to talk about Foden.
And Ollie Watkins didn't for Villa.
If Man City don't win the league, which I expect them not to win it this year, I think one of the reasons why they don't win it is because Foden doesn't reach the levels that he reached last season. Last season, the guy was winning games on his own, carrying City at times. I think they're gonna find it a little bit harder this season, especially with the fact that Kevin De Bruyne is getting a little bit older. Erling Haaland's going to have to do a little bit more on his own. And some of the peripheral pieces are not as good as the teams that they've had in the past. So
I think
we'll
it's going to be
we'll have to wait and see. But I do think Foden takes a little bit of a dip this season. And that is where one of the main catalysts in them not winning the league.
Their forwards now are going to be a lot more direct running in behind. And there's going to be City's game plan is going to be to have a lot more space in the middle of the park. But one of the Savinho and Doku are going to be so direct, kind of like Madrid do it with inside forwards with Vinny and Rodrigo. Foden's going to get so. I think Foden will get so many chances in and around the edge of the box. And last season, worldies at the Bernabeu, last game of the season, to settle the nerves. 20 minutes in, there's a quick breaks. I don't think De Bruyne will. I think De Bruyne will be saved to the bigger games, the Arsenals, the Chelseas, the Liverpools. But I think Foden will start at least 32, 33 Premier League games next season. And with the season he had last year, I think he's going to follow on. Like I said, in the Euros, he was extremely disappointing. But for City, some players are just better at club level.
Yeah. I hear you on
Henry
that.
talks
Viewers,
football
look,
video coming in.
Facts.
viewers.
Oh my
we
God,
want-
Foden player of the season.
There we land. This here says Tom, who was better last season, Saliba or Van Dijk? That's the Tom.
Van Dijk was better. Saliba had a better team around him.
Deluded.
Van Dijk carried Liverpool to a trophy with kids.
Facts.
I'd love to see Saliba try and defend in the situations that Van Dijk was put in by the fact that we had no DM and our fullbacks were given no defensive responsibility.
Go watch him against
KJ.
Go watch him against PSG with Neymar, Messi, and what do you call it, Mbappe.
Egal. Joshua here says, how can he be one of the best with no silverware?
I did mention that he doesn't have the proven track record, but in the time we can see that he's already up there with some of the best with his ability on the ball, with his defensive awareness, how easy he makes the game look. You can't tell me you can find somebody who's better than him right now.
Mm-hmm.
To back a gal, Kane was the best striker in the Premier League. How long? And he
Still is
had
right now.
And he's got
I slightly disagree with that because I never had him above Aguero, even when he was outscoring him, because Aguero was scoring in that last 10 games of the season. From a league perspective, last 10, maybe 12, depends on the title race. When you're scoring and delivering in those title races, it feels different. And I don't even mean this as a dig at Tottenham fans. In my lifetime, they've rarely been in a title race. The younger Arsenal fans now know what it feels like. Those last 10 games, Chelsea fans remember what it's like. Liverpool fans know what it means more because you and the players feel that pressure. It's so different from playing in those last 10 games where you've guaranteed top 4 or you're out the top 4 and you can keep scoring. And that's why I always had Aguero above Kane. I always had Rooney above Kane. I'll always have Ian Wright above Kane because I've seen those guys deliver when it absolutely matters in the most pivotal games. And that's how I start separating, because when it comes to technical ability, when it comes to how good they all are at their roles, to a degree you could argue it's much of a muchness, and we're nitpicking amongst the best. But to nitpick amongst the best, you've got to get serious. I think how you deliver in title races, semi-finals and finals is an absolute key component on where you are listed in terms of.
Can I counteract that argument? Because 2016,
try it.
2017, we were in a title race up until the last 2 games of the season when we bottled it at Stamford Bridge.
Mhm.
Harry Kane, the last 10 games of that season, got 4 against Leicester, 3 against Hull, 1 against Arsenal, which was the winner, 2 against Bournemouth, 1 against Palace, and 1 against Man United. You got over 10 GA. They got 12 GA, 29 goals in 30 games. He was out for 8 games in
Was
that
that
title
16,
race.
17?
Yeah, 16. That was the year we finished.
That was when you lost to Chelsea. That
Yeah.
was when Chelsea got like 94 points. I don't know
Yeah,
how far
yeah,
off we were that
but
season.
finish the point.
So in those games, Kane delivered, but we just didn't have the team to get over the line for a title race.
So no doubt he did. But again, the reason why the Rooneys and the Agueros and the like I'm putting above
I'm not
him-
saying he's better than those. I'm just saying it's an
No,
argument.
it is an argument, but my rationale is still the same. Those guys that were in multiple title races and delivered. Harry Kane delivered in one that he didn't go on to win. And it wasn't his fault per se, but he was never in another one. And he was never in another one where he had the opportunity to.
Fair.
And it's not directly his fault. But you know, if you're judging tennis players, I think that Joe Bloggs would have been better than Federer. He just never got the chance of playing Grand Slam finals. Well, we'll never fucking know, will we? Like, I think it's one of those things. But look,
What
viewers,
about if he
we're
does
going
it
to
this
move
year?
on.
What about if he wins Bundesliga and the Champions League with Bayern?
Let's see how he plays. See how he plays. I mean, if he scores loads of goals and he's delivering, that changes legacy. Legacy is defined by winning trophies. In the cold, hard light of day, it is. When it comes to top goal scorer, have we all put Haaland? We've all put Haaland.
As long as he's here, we need to ask who the second top goal scorer is going to be.
Dominic Solanke.
I think it's going to be Izzo.
I don't know why that's laughable. Dominic Solanke.
Who?
Dominic Solanke.
Who?
You're aware he's going to play every minute of every single game, and he's the only forward we're going to have.
You're laughing. What if Solanke has a better season than whoever you sign?
Dominic Solanke will get
like,
minimum
what's
20
like my team right now is not a barometer. So comparing them to me don't make sense.
But Dominic Solanke could be that person this year.
Dominic Solanke or Kai Havertz?
I think it's going to be.
Kai Havertz.
Yeah, Kai. The Arsenal won't sign a striker, and he's going to play so many games.
Sorry, who?
Yeah.
Who?
He's gonna be the 9 for them this season because they're gonna go outside the wide player.
Names like Ollie Watkins, Mohamed Salah, they've been shunned to the side for Kai Havertz and Dominic Solanke.
In the Champions League games, Arsenal will rotate, but Kai Havertz, I think personally, will play majority of the Premier League games. He scored what? How many did he get last season?
I don't know. It could be quite a few. We are going to run out of time if we don't move on to the more meatier subjects. We didn't get a graphic for this, but top 4. So when it comes to the top 4 debate, we're all putting Arsenal and we're all putting City in it, correct? We would all do that, right? So we can just leave those two out of the conversation for the moment. Giuseppe, who is making the other 2 spaces in your opinion?
I'm going to put Liverpool in there, although I am starting to wonder if Liverpool are adding enough to stay in there, but I will put Liverpool in there. And the other team I'm putting there is Manchester United. I think they're going to surprise people this season.
Thanks.
Get in. You'll be on more shows this year, speaking like that, Giuseppe. I tell you. I agree. By the way, I'll throw mine out there at the beginning. I'm picking, of course, Arsenal and City. And then I'm putting in Liverpool and I'm putting in Manchester United. I think United will do it. I truly believe they are. And by the way, it might be a top 5 this season if we do well in Europe. But I think Man United will do it. I think we are going to absolutely shock a lot of people. We all saw how well we played against City. We're going to get better and better and better. And I think the new ownership, the new regime, how we're operating, all the little things off the pitch, the new stadium that's coming, there is a feel-good factor at the club. There's the organization. I think we've signed very well. I think we've signed very good players. I really do think we've signed good players. Still going to probably have Ugarte, maybe one more player coming after that. The technical level's gone up. The tactics have been addressed by the football decision makers. And Ten Hag spoke about this. And look, there's still question marks over him, and I understand why people are skeptical. So there's no criticism of Man United that I don't think is unfair unless you're disregarding the change that has happened at the club. But what he now has, he was making mistakes last year, Ten Hag. But you know who's giving him his feedback? So if you think about it like your job, this is what happens at football clubs. He was sitting in meetings with his superiors, giving him feedback, and they are marketers and accountants. How are they able in meetings to explain why he's getting these things wrong and then give suggestions on how to improve the team when you have zero football minds running it? Now, he was making mistakes. Sometimes in life, we've all been there. You kind of get blinkered of what you're doing. What you actually need is a football person to pull you aside. We've already seen those changes towards the end of last season, and more have happened. And I believe with our midfield not being run through as easy, through a tactical switch and signings, I don't see why we can't make the top 4. If our midfield wasn't so easy to run through last season, we'd have made the top 4 last year. That was our biggest problem above and beyond everything else, is we had no midfield, not through players, but through the shape that we were in. Last 4 games of the season, we addressed that. Won all 3 Premier League games. And we had tough games, by the way. Newcastle, good team. Brighton away that we barely ever win. And I don't remember the last game now. It's gone off my head. Maybe it was Fulham. And then we beat Manchester City in the FA Cup final. We've signed from there. So, yeah, I'm confident we can make the top 4. And that's not a dig at Spurs. It's not a dig at Villa or Chelsea. I think it is going to be a very, very, very close run affair. But look, this Man United team, I think, has the ability to do it. And I'm backing us to at least get back in the Champions League this season. Kate, who are the other 2 in your opinion?
I put Man United as well. I think they've done some really good business. But in 4th, I put Newcastle. I think they're going to have a really good season. They've got Isak, who is different gravy. I've got a feeling there's going to be a bit of a drop-off with Liverpool. Not drastic. I'm not predicting them to finish sort of 8th or 9th. I just don't see them finishing in the top 4. They're, maybe if they'd got Zubimendi over the line, which of course they didn't because he turned them down. But had they have got that over the line, I would have put them in the top 4. But for now, I've got United and Newcastle.
Banter from a Spurs fan is crazy. I can't.
Zubi. How about yourself, Tom? I mean, I know you're disappointed not getting Zubimendi, but Liverpool have looked, and I'm not writing Liverpool off. Liverpool have looked really good in pre-season, irrespective of no new signings. I think no new signings stops you from winning the league, but are you confident of remaining in a Champions League spot? Or and if so, who else do you think's joining you in that group?
I reckon we'll finish 3rd because we've not gotten worse, and no team has gotten better for at least a 14-point swing to go the other way. So I do think we stay 3rd, and then 4th. I'm gonna go Tottenham just because I like the midfield and the defense setup they've got, and I do feel that Solanke and Brennan Johnson and players like Solanke will have a really good season, and the fringe players who weren't really involved that much last year will pop up in certain moments for them. But I just like the makeup of Tottenham's team a lot more. I was going to say Newcastle, but I do just wonder with Newcastle, do they have enough quality depth to get them through the season? So I'd say Tottenham get 4th and Newcastle run them right to the end.
I get that. David, who are you going with? You backing your Chelsea boys to make it into the top 4?
No. I'm going with what's it? Man United in 4th and Liverpool in 3rd. However, I do think Chelsea will finish 5th and there'll be a Champions League spot.
Can I ask you a question? Because people are going to think people are sucking off Man United because I'm the host of the show and it's my channel. Why are you picking Man United out of all interest?
Do you know what it is? I really highly rate De Ligt, like really highly. I think he's a fantastic signing. And you've got continuity. That's, I think, the main thing. All the other teams below you they've lost a big player or they've got a brand new manager and have to go through a lot of things. Whereas United is pretty much, you are what you were last year, but you've only improved on it. So I can only see you're currently playing quite well, so your trajectory is going up. So for now, I'm going to have to back you and put you 4th. That's it.
Listen, I like hearing it as a United fan. I do. What are you saying, Egal? Who's your pick to make it into Champions League positions?
The funny thing is, I've debated this a lot. I thought about Chelsea for a bit, but there's still such an unknown. I looked at the teams like Newcastle, Aston Villa, and West Ham, and I just don't think West Ham's there yet. I think Aston Villa is going to fall off. Newcastle's not. I don't think Newcastle's going to get back into the top four. So it leaves me with really and truly debating over Chelsea, Tottenham, and Man United. So I'm like, I don't think Tottenham's there. I think they actually could face the worst season out of the three teams. I think Chelsea and Man United are going to fight for top four, and I think Man United is going to get it due to the fact that Bruno, Rashford, and those guys are going to be able to get it out. I just don't think Chelsea right now have the consistency where Man United, even when things look like they're not going to happen, they still somehow get results. Last year they just couldn't get goals. This year, if they can get a couple more goals and just get that attack sorted a little bit with Rashford getting better and getting back to his best, and Bruno playing the best that he can, and of course, I think the young player of the year, as I said, Kobe Mainoo, they're definitely going to be in the mix there, and I think your signings are going to be the difference to get you over that line. I think you made really good business. You've done some really good business over the window so far.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I think we have. We're going to come on when we'll hear from Henry first, and then we'll speak about Chelsea. What are you saying, Henry? Are you backing your boys to do it? You just missed out last year. You've signed Archie Gray. You've signed a prolific goal scorer. Are Tottenham making it back into the top four, back into Champions League football?
No. I think we haven't done enough defensively. I don't think we've got a good enough depth for Van de Ven and Udogie. When Van de Ven's hamstring goes, which you can practically guarantee it will around November, we don't have cover for left back, and we don't have a number 6. I think at times we could. This season, I think Tottenham will beat a lot of teams 3-2, 4-3, 2-1. It will be very exciting to watch. Very much like last season, you can't think being around top 4 conceding nearly 65 league goals. I think third will be Liverpool. I think Tom's right. I don't think a 14-point swing is. You're asking a lot. Arne Slot's a good coach. He's done well in pre-season. Betis, United, and Arsenal they beat, and they didn't really flex their muscles too much in a lot of their games. It was just clinical finishing. Fourth, I think, will be United. And I said this 2 months ago on here. I feel like there's a feel-good factor around the club. I feel like the continuity and togetherness has been brought in. Van Nistelrooy, there's been a lot of clips around him and his individual coaching methods. The big thing for me will be the start of the Premier League season. In that number 9 role, they've got Liverpool early on, so we're really going to see what I expect them to go and put 2 or 3 goals past Fulham, but I think that'll be a very end-to-end game because Fulham have recruited well. But it will be up until the end of September, that number 9 role. And what do they do with Marcus Rashford? Because I don't think, personally, I'd play Diallo and Garnacho. If you're going to play Rashford, do you play him down the middle? Does he start over those 2 out wide? But with all that being said, towards the end of the season, I think United will turn it on and they'll finish 4th.
It's interesting to say about the number 9. One of my surprise player that I picked is Xerxes. Now, I don't think Xerxes is going to be a 25 goal striker. I really, really don't. I don't think he'll do that. But he's very technically gifted, and I don't know why I didn't know this, but the man's 6'4". He's huge.
He's a mountain.
I saw him. I was standing on I looked at a picture I think it was in the Daily Mail or the Telegraph, of him standing on the platform waiting for a train to go to London last week. And I thought it was like a camera angle. And I thought, why does he look so fucking big? And I looked at it. Turned out the motherfucker's 6'4", but he's technically gifted. I think he's going to have a really good first season for us. And I think he'll score some goals, maybe 10 to 15 goals. But I think it's going to be more his overall play. And I do agree with Ahmad and Garnacho starting. But don't sleep on Rashford. I know he missed those chances in the Community Shield. But
I think he's too inconsistent, though.
I understand that, but I still think if we create...
His stealing is crazy.
But this is what I'm going to say is this. When it comes to Rashford, if you create 2 chances of that level for him per game, which isn't a lot to ask for, because Haaland gets more than that, he'll score across all competitions 30 goals this year. If you give him 2 chances like that per game on average over a 50 to 60 game season, he could score 30 goals. So for me, the issue that Rashford has with a lot of our attackers is that the chance creation in the last year was so sparse. We'd go 20, 30 minutes in the game without having a shot. And then when someone's in bad form, it almost like it enhances it. It protrudes even more. This whole preseason, I've seen a different shape and a different movement. If we create the chances, he'll score. However, I think Garnacho and Ahmad need to be the starters. There's no doubt, and Rashford's got his way back into this team. But I'm excited about it. I want to ask about Chelsea, and I'm going to throw this to Tom first of all. How do you think Chelsea's season is going to go? No one on this panel has put them into the top 4, maybe top 5, and in Champions League football if they get that. But how do you think Chelsea will perform this campaign?
Chelsea will have an inconsistent season. I think that attack actually won't be that much of a problem. I think they'll add a striker and they'll score a fair amount of goals. And I actually think, injury permitting, their midfield won't really let them down. It won't be tearing down trees or anything, but it'll be a solid enough midfield. My concern with Chelsea and where I think they will come undone in the battle for top 4 is that defence. I don't rate either of the 2 goalkeepers. I don't. The right backs are all right, provided they can stay fit. I don't rate either of the 2 left backs. And the only centre back that I'll rate is Colwill. And I don't, bad looks of things, that I don't know if he's a starter or not. And the other ones, there's injuries there. So if Chelsea's defence, they have about 3 good defenders and 2 of them are injury prone. And that's my problem. The goalkeepers don't rate. So I feel like Chelsea are going to get into a lot of situations next season where they'll score 2, but they'll concede 3. Or they'll score 3, but they'll throw it away in the last minute. In that way. And I just think that if you're trying to challenge for top 4, I don't think that you can have that as your squad makeup next year, especially since, whilst I rate the attack of Chelsea, there is the massive problem of availability as well. So if you can get Neto and Clunky, Palmer fit for the whole season, you will outscore a lot of teams and you will win a lot of these shootouts. But there are going to be games where it is Palmer, Mudryk, Jackson, and that isn't going to outscore teams.
I like that. I love Mudryk and I love Jackson. They're ballers. Love it.
Yeah. They're not outscoring many teams. I just think Chelsea in that weird spot where they need the quality that they don't have, but they can't exactly add that because there's not exactly room in the squad to add it.
They need to learn
because everything is just so bloated.
They need to learn the playing style also, and I think that is going to.
I also don't rate the manager as well. Thank you, Egal. I don't rate the manager. I'd be very shocked if MARESCA makes it through to the end of the season.
Why don't you? Hang on a minute. Let me jump in. When you say you don't rate him, how can you rate a manager you've never watched play football or managed a team that's played football?
I mean, I watched Leicester last season. In like 4 games, they played us twice.
They nearly threw away a 16-point lead.
That as well, and Enzo
MARESCA. Now, this is one thing that always annoys me. They nearly threw away a 6-point lead, but he did get the 16-point lead. Don't forget that. Don't forget
they said that team was basically a Premier League.
He did also have the best squad in the Championship. And if you look at MARESCA's CV, it's not. I still am kind of stuck in Chelsea of old, where I expect Chelsea to have the best in class in terms of managers. And their manager right now, CV, is a failed stint at Parma where he pissed off almost everyone. And then a spell at Leicester where, even though he won them the Championship, Leicester fans weren't exactly too bothered to see him go. And there was a lot of problems in that Leicester side last year, which resulted in them nearly dropping a 16-point lead and not winning that title. I just don't think he's got the.
Is it too much for him, do you think?
I don't think he's got the cojones for Chelsea, especially with the amount of uncertainty that they have at the minute. I feel like Chelsea needed to keep Poch, if I'm being honest. But what they need is an experienced head, and I don't think MARESCA is that. MARESCA is just another project manager who isn't going to be able to handle the pressure and the situation at Chelsea, and the owners will shoot too early again.
When did Chelsea play this weekend? What time is it?
They play Man City 4:30 on Sunday.
4:30 on Sunday. That game is going to be deja vu to what happened to Arsenal under Unai Emery. When we played our first game of the season was against Man City. You guys are going to try to play his system, and that's where you guys are going to get caught out. And then eventually it's going to be a situation. Do you go gung-ho against Man City and leave yourself vulnerable, or do you or try to get back into the game, or do you just see it out? And that's where you guys are going to go for the game, and Man City are going to pick you apart. And early in the season, against the top teams, you're going to struggle. Last season, You were good against the top teams.
But don't you feel
against the rest of the teams,
Sorry,
I
Gav.
think you might be a little bit better.
But
That's
don't
where
you
I
feel
think-
as though this game against City is almost such an anomaly because of where Chelsea are in their situation and who Man City are? If they get a battering or even if they win, I don't think too much should be read into it at all.
He's saying it's a free hit.
I
but
mean,
it's
you can call it that when people again Standard FC don't like that as an example, but again contextually for Chelsea, they're an unknown entity, and when you're an unknown entity, what's the phrase they use sometimes in life, like beginner's luck? Sometimes you can just catch a team off guard. You know, you can catch a team. I know they played in preseason, but the one thing about preseason, I was watching a game on preseason. I was either watching it on Liverpool TV or Arsenal TV, one of the two. And I don't know who the commentator was, but he said, look, you won't really see what our team wants to do from set pieces because we won't want to reveal that now. And he said, and the main commentator said to the co-commentator, well, how do you know this? He went, well, my whole life through preseason training, we were told, don't show certain things we're going to do in the real games in preseason because we don't want the world to know our tactics. And that makes sense. Boxers and fighters do that all the time. Like sometimes they reveal it to put people off, but they never tell you their game plan. So when Chelsea play their first few games, they're an unknown entity. They could get battered. They could get beat.
The good thing is, after Man
I have a
City,
prediction on how Chelsea might be, though.
we have quite a good run of fixtures afterwards to get the system working. So we play City, and I don't think we play a big team until like the 9th or 10th game almost. So it's like we should be picking up points and like seeing how
run a game.
You know, I just want to say this. I have a prediction. Last season, I was spot on about Chelsea and my whole prediction about how their season was going to go. So now I'm going to give you guys it's not a prediction. I'm telling you guys the future and what's going to happen. Chelsea last year were really good against the top teams, and they were poor against the rest. This season, it's going to be flipped because your defense can handle themselves against some of these bottom teams, but against the top teams, your defense is going to get exposed. But your attack is going to be really good against some of these bottom teams, and you might struggle to break down some of the better teams. So I think at this moment in time, Chelsea are going to be better this season because they're going to get a lot more from the team lower down the table, and against the Arsenals, Tottenhams, Man Cities, Manchester Uniteds, they're going to drop way more points this season. And that's with the pendulum switching on that side, you're going to get yourself more points. You're going to be in the top 4 race. But against the smaller teams, you're going to look good. Against the top teams, you're going to look a lot more disorganized because of the style of play you're going to be playing.
Yeah, I was going to ask, who's going to finish 5th?
It's going to be Chelsea for me.
Nah.
Oh wow! Whoa, Egal! Oh my God! What the hell?
I would. Do you know what? I'm going Chelsea or Newcastle as of right now.
No,
I'm gonna
my underperformers this season are Tottenham.
I'm going to throw a.
And you could be sacked, mate.
I saw you, Kate. I'm going
to throw.
Do you know what I'm basing that on? Honestly, I'm basing it on. I've done in my predictions. Like I've picked PSG to win the Champions League. Not because I think they're the favourites, but I like a story, and they're my outside bet because my view is they've got no superstars left. Imagine they now win it. There's no Zlatan, there's no Verratti, there's no Messi, Neymar. They're all gone. Imagine they go and win it now. It's almost like a thumb in the eye for those guys. I picked Spurs due to just the negativity from Spurs. By the way, the Spurs fans always attack me for not saying they can win the league. Are the ones being negative. So I feel like negative energy seeps into a dressing room. I think Spurs will underachieve. But yeah, for me, 5th or 6th is going to be Newcastle or Chelsea, in my opinion. Or those two teams. 5th and 6th will be Newcastle
I'm going to
Chelsea.
throw a team that hasn't been mentioned. I think West Ham will finish 5th or 6th.
Oh, I don't know.
They could.
Good coach. Good side.
West Ham will finish high. I agree.
They've got a great centre-back pairing now. Like Saliba is a fantastic centre-half. And Kilman's got a lot of Premier League experience. They've added depth up top with Fulkrug and Somerville. Bowen's now the captain. There's a feel-good factor in this dressing room.
Do they finish higher than
West Ham will finish higher because they don't have Europe.
Yeah.
I think Ange wants a trophy, so we're going to try and do anything we can to get far in that.
Do you have Ange getting sacked? The way you're talking, you have Ange getting sacked.
If I speak, I'm in trouble, so I'm not saying anything.
No, we don't do that on the football terrace, Emery.
Henry,
Speak
you're
your
an
mind,
Arsenal
son.
fan. We already know that now.
We know you are.
At
We
the
know-
end of the
Henry,
season,
we know-
is
hang
Patch
on a
your
minute.
manager?
Sorry.
Is he your
Henry,
manager?
we know you've sold out. We know you've sold out your principles to get views online to say, oh my God.
Oh, right, yeah.
yeah,
If you believe
I've
people on
seen it.
Twitter, apparently I'm Henry
I-
Tonks.
I've- Yeah, I get it. I get it. But why do you think your manager's getting sacked?
I didn't say he's getting sacked. I just think he's. I will be surprised if he is here by the end of the season, purely on the fact that we have not strengthened our defense and the tactics at times we are very, very, very open. One other thing that I think is a good assessment is we haven't hired a defensive coach and then we haven't hired a set piece coach. When it comes to set pieces, we don't have an aerially dominant centre back. And I don't know if anyone's seen our start of the season. We've got Arsenal, Man United, and Newcastle away in our first 5 games. I'm not confident.
To be fair, apparently Arsenal can't do that. Ben White can't be bothering goalkeepers anymore, so Vicario might be able to move.
David, did you see our
Maybe. I can't believe they got rid of that.
What?
Look, moving on from this. When we go through everybody's predictions, Giuseppe thinks Arsenal will win the league. Kate thinks Arsenal. Tom thinks City. David thinks Arsenal. Egal, of course, thinks Arsenal. And Henry has picked Arsenal. In fact, Ram has picked Arsenal. Jem has picked City. KJ has picked City. And Staffy has picked City. I have gone for City as of right now. The end of the window may change my mind, depending on who Arsenal sign and who they sign. But Egal, why have you picked Arsenal to win the 2024-2025 English Premier League season?
I think the past 2 seasons, you could say it was we had a little bit of lack of quality. We had injuries, a little bit of unluckiness, and you could even say we just weren't prepared because we constantly found ourselves having mental lapses or moments where we fall short. But with a much more solid defense, having Calafiori in, we're also potentially going to be bringing in Mikel Merino. And of course, I just feel like the overall squad, a lot of the players like Declan Rice, like Bukayo Saka, like Martin Odegaard, like Saliba are just getting that much better. I think we're going to go and pip Man City to the league this time. They have won it 4 times in a row, and I just don't think Man City are as threatening as they were in the past. Last season, they had their laps. We should have capitalized. We didn't. But I do think this time, with that much more experience, knowing how it is and being able to pace ourselves a little bit better, we'll be able to manage the season and the campaign a little bit more with the experience that we have now too.
Can I add something on that I think is one of the most underrated parts of the season that no one's looking at? You got the Etihad game so much earlier in a Premier League season, whereas the last 2 campaigns, you played City away around March and April, and there's been so much hype about, are Arsenal going to turn up? The fact that your first 3 away games are Villa Park, which you lost, City, which you drew, and us, which could have been 4-4 at the end of it. If you get past those 3 games without losing, or let's say who knows what's happening in North London? People say 4
in
goes
week
up.
5, people could say Arsenal.
Sorry,
you're right. By
the
game
way,
week 5, we could have already played Aston Villa, Tottenham, and Man City.
And you'll see where you are. By the end of September, you will see if Arsenal have improved that much.
By the way, I've said already, people will hate me, whatever Arsenal fans, I'll say it. If Arsenal go past that Man City game and we've won every game that season, I think we've pretty much won the league. And I know that sounds mad to say.
What, in September?
I believe that we won't drop off enough. Personally, Arsenal. People will hate this.
Can I
say this? But the thing is, if we win at Villa Park, we win at City away, and we win at Spurs away, I think that we're in a good stead to win the league. I'm not saying we've won
September.
anything. No.
You said no, Giuseppe, don't do that.
No, you can't backtrack now. You said you would win the league if you got through all them games.
By the way,
yeah,
you said after 5 games you've won the league. So
stand up. Clip it. I don't care, man. I'll get clipped. I'll get hated. I'll get everything. I don't care. You know what? I actually do think that if we win all 5 of them games, we'll go on to win the league. I don't think that's bad.
In September, like I understand that playing the City game
I hear
early.
it, but you're talking like if you're talking like Spurs are doing that. We've been competing toe to toe with City
I
for the
understand
last 2 seasons. Yeah. Now we start the season having already out of the first 5 games wiped out 2 of our hardest away games and a third one that's a tricky one. I think we then have enough to go on and win the league. Yes, from that.
Can I ask a question? Because I missed that. Did he say if you win the first 5 games, you go on to win the league?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let me ask everyone who's disagreeing with him, and I'm just playing host here. Everybody in the last 2 seasons has said you won't win the league because you can't beat Man City away. Why now is that narrative changing if they beat Man City away in the opening 5 games?
I just said,
I was going to say because after 5 games, first of all, City might not even end up being the best team. For all we know, Liverpool could be their hardest away game, and I don't know when they play Liverpool. That's the first thing. Second of all, you have no idea what happens to your squad. If you end up with a situation where 4 or 5 players get injured, like key players get injured, then
but David, but then you could say that for
your point was we're going to be in a good position to win the league. You said we've won the league already.
Yes, because
last year taught us one thing: how we do against Man City in our head-to-head doesn't matter. What matters is if we can beat the rest of the league.
Well, it does matter. If you lose both games, you can't.
No, but I get what I'm saying. But my main point is we could have an amazing head-to-head to them, but drop two games to Aston Villa, drop 2 games to friggin' West Ham, and you're out of the title race.
I think having the Etihad game so early away. The flip side, if you lose against a Villa and you lose that game against City, the spiral completely changes, and then City could go on and dominate. Having the game this early away from home benefits you, because if they get a 5 or 6 point lead, and you claw it back, and then you're going in at March and April with the game at the Emirates, puts you back in the driver's seat. But isn't there an international break just before the North London derby as well?
Yes.
Yeah.
Is it before or after?
It's before.
You guys are terrible after international break.
Your first 2 games after the international break are Spurs away and City away. And I think there's a Champions League game in there as well.
But this is what I'm saying. So if we've got to that point and we've won every game, by the way, I said won, yeah? So no drawing with City or anything, I'm not saying. But if we've beaten Spurs away, back-to-back beaten Spurs away and City away, I generally believe that will show that Arsenal this season are going to be that.
We're going to do it, mate. We're going to do it. We're going to do it.
Yeah, I
gotta go. Terry, thank you for having me. I got to go.
I know everyone's laughing at me. But the one thing that's been the reason that we don't win the leagues in the past 2 seasons is not beating City. It's not beating City. We didn't bottle it last season. We bottled it the first season. Yeah, last season it was just, if we beat City away, I just think that we could knock City a bit.
If City don't sign a forward, I'm with you. If they go out tomorrow or the next few days and drop £100 million forward, that's Terry would say is a scary forward that puts that you're all of a sudden going,
oh my God.
Yeah, if I'm out here going, oh my God, on the front now, because City have just signed £100 million player, which they could do. You know, City are now in the market and they've got arguably the best scouting network other than maybe an Ajax or a Sporting Lisbon in the world. If they drop £100 million forward, it changes everything. City right now, if they go into the season with Oscar Bob on one leg, that's relying heavily on Foden and Rodri.
That's my view on this. Like, Arsenal are capable of winning it. So is City. I think when we're picking, I've said for about 2 weeks now, if Arsenal get Merino and another forward that moves the needle slightly, and City sign nobody else from this point, Arsenal are my marginal favourites. But if City go and sign Guimaraes, or they go and sign a top forward that we're not expecting, Eze as an example, especially now that unfortunately Oscar Bob's injured, then City are my marginal favourites. However, I think predicting either to win is fine. I even think predicting Liverpool having an outside chance is also fine. I don't think any of those 3 predictions are crazy or delusional as people are making out. But I also get what Giuseppe's saying, because if you start the season with really tough away wins, I do get what you're saying, David, that they might get loads of injuries, but our predictions have got to be based on things going kind of normally. Does that make sense? Because if City could win their opening 10 games, but if they then lost Rodri, KDB, Haaland, and Ake for the rest of the season to injury, they're not winning the league. Like, they're not doing it. And I think we could always throw that in, but for me, still, as it stands this second, because Arsenal haven't signed Merino officially and they haven't got an attacker, City are just still those marginal favourites because they have the know-how the manager as well. I just think that
Yeah.
you can't look beyond this guy.
Terry, though, can I ask you something, though, Terry?
Go on, bruv.
Yeah, so I agree 100% with your thought process. Now, we both don't sign anyone from now, but Arsenal win their first 5 games and we beat City away in them first 5 games. Is City still your favourites?
What's City
that
done
point.
in those? What have City done in those 5 games?
They've won 4 and they've then lost to us.
So you're 3 points ahead of them at that point.
Yeah, but we've beaten.
I would make you the marginal favourites. So I wouldn't use your language of we've already won the league.
Yeah,
because I think the language.
I get
language,
drawn out.
I get you, but language matters. I would make you the marginal favourites because you've got a 3-point advantage, and you've proven over the last 2 years that you can get a huge amount of points. And defensively, I don't think you're going to concede a shed load of goals. And defenses win, goals win games, defenses win titles. I stand by what Sir Alex Ferguson said. So, yeah, if you win your opening 5 games and you beat City away, I'd make you the marginal favourites at that point. And that's why pre-season predictions are pre-season predictions. When we do this again, when the transfer window shuts, we might see a lot of our decisions change on player of the year, on top goal scorer. Maybe not top goal scorer. We're all going to pick Haaland. But our decisions may change. Chelsea signed Victor Osimhen, and minds might all change about what Chelsea do. Do you get where I'm coming from? Arsenal, I just imagine it. They get Madueke. So you go and drop a stupid £120 million bid on Isak. I'm talking cuckoo land here, and you get him. Everybody's minds might change. Like we can't always call it Superchats here.
Arsenal don't win the league, for me, it's poor. I'm sorry. You're now at that stage where it's like your season is defined by winning it. So that's why I've got you first, because you better do it, or else I'm looking at you sideways. That's what I'm gonna say. You've just got to do it. I don't care. Oh, if City get 100, no, you should have got 101. That's the mentality you've got to have. Not, oh, we got 99, we got really close. Those seasons are over with now. It's now you've got to do it. So do it.
I get that. I want to do super chats before the end of the show. It says West Ham is cooking. Are you all paying attention? Listen, they've had a good window. They've had a very good window. I'm no City fan, but a lot of Arsenal fans saying City won't be the same as last season. I'm forgetting KDB won't start playing from March like
I think that's what people
season.
forget. City had real problems with injuries last season. John Stones barely played for them because he was constantly in and out the team. Haaland missed about 3 months, I think, collectively. KDB missed half the season. I think that if they just have a little bit more luck with their injuries, they'll make it complete. Oh my God.
Roy Hodgson.
No, you've got a little bit of a Hodgson look. It's the bags under the eyes, Henry. It's the bags under the eyes. I still think he looks more like Uncle Fester's bastard child. Personally,
that is an absolute violation.
Roy Hodgson's crazy.
This year says one team bottled it last season twice. They had their flight to Dublin booked. They were the favourites to win the Premier League until Crystal Palace slapped them. That's talking about Liverpool.
And then Arsenal became the favourites for 2 hours until they lost to Villa.
Havertz scored 13 goals in 18 starts as striker, has a higher conversion rate than Osimhen.
I want to ask Giuseppe this. In pre-season for Arsenal, has Jesus not been up front?
It's been a bit. Mostly I think Jesus has been up front, and then it's been Havertz in the midfield and the 8. That may change. Say Moreno comes in,
but not the 2 games at the Emirates. It was Kai Havertz that started, wasn't it?
The Leverkusen game.
Havertz
started in the midfield.
And then he went up front for the next game. Yeah, that's the one. Who is better, Vinny or Mbappe?
It's not even a debate. I don't know. I think Vinny's so clear, it's unreal.
Stop doing. He ain't so clear, it's unreal.
He's got 10 goals in finals already.
Mbappe's got a hat-trick in a World Cup final, though.
I don't care. Mbappe's done it in a league where Monaco won.
No, I understand that, but again,
Lille won the league.
Hang on, bruv. Saying Vinny's better is fine. Saying he's like miles clear is crazy.
He's miles clear.
We did flop of the season. We did underperformer. That's flop of the season. Essentially, same thing. But we'll do more of this when the transfer window shuts. I heard a lot of Arsenal fans say that Gabriel was then Saliba better
I
than
think
Saliba
that's-
last
yeah.
season, and even had Rice ahead of Saliba, so he might not be the best then. That's fair, but that's not what Egal said. I'll defend Egal because he's not here. It's Egal's opinion, not other Arsenal fans' opinion, but I hear you. Stop talking nonsense. We need practical fans.
What's a practical fan? Is that Standards FC?
No, not Bermuda Guna. Bermuda Guna's not like that. I don't know. You'd have to explain what you mean, bro. What if Arsenal go trophyless this season?
It's a
Conversations
failure.
need to be had
It's
if that
a
happens again.
failure. It's a failure.
That'll be a hard riff. That'll be a hard riff, bro. That's what
Arteta would have minimum the second best team in the country for 3 years straight and not end up with a single trophy.
Giuseppe, just sack him if you don't win anything.
Want to bet on Enzo
You wouldn't sack him?
$100.
Nah.
We would take what?
I said, would you sack to Giuseppe? Would you sack Arteta if he doesn't win anything this season? What about if Alonso is available?
Context.
Hey, would you sack him?
Context, you finish second, you lose the league by 3 points.
Mamma mia.
Yeah,
No,
you get
title in
quarterfinal
21
Champions
years.
Listen, it's going to
Come
be
on.
annoying, but I'm a firm believer that show me someone that can come to my team and guarantee me to be better than him right now, and I don't think you can show me anyone. I've told everyone, and I'll stick to it. If Pep leaves Man City at the end of the season, and we sack Arteta at the end of the season, Arteta is Man City's new manager.
Would you take Xabi Alonso?
And then he wins the league.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine?
Let me see
if
Xabi
Arteta
Alonso this season.
Can you imagine if Arteta wins nothing this season and then becomes a City manager and starts winning it all? Can you imagine the madness online? Again, I don't know what the word is. Is the word sycophantic? I don't know, but there's like a weird part of me that would just love to see the carnage of that. I don't know the word sycophantic. I'm not sure what it is, but yeah, I'd love to see. I don't think sycophantic is the word. But anyway, if Arsenal win 38 games, 114 points, invincible again, score 107 goals, 14 conceded, win the Champions League, the Premier League, League Cup, FA Cup, Champions League, League Gunner would still complain. Nah, he wouldn't.
He didn't rest Saka enough.
No, he might say, why didn't he do it earlier? That's what he might say. But big up League Gunner. I hope you're well, mate. I hope you're doing good and all that jazz. Look, I want to thank everyone who's tuned in. We're going to do a bit more of these predictions tomorrow on Straight Facts with Staffy and Dan Lawless and me. This video is going to take you through to Hassam's channel. Go and support that fraud after he's Zubi. He's very, very Zubi Monday night. Go and support him over there. He's doing his Premier League predictions. So go check him out. I want to thank my panel. You're all beautiful and amazing. To everyone who's tuned in, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Got some big announcements. I keep saying it, but keep yourselves eyes peeled. Keep yourself eyes peeled. Keep your eyes peeled. Big announcements coming in the next few days. Until next time, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you all again very, very soon. Peace.